Good morning, everybody.
Oh, God.
Before I call the meeting to order, I traditionally like to stand during the board meetings, but the lectern was too tall and I couldn't get the microphone on. So forgive me for sitting. It's no disrespect to anybody. But I have to use what we have available for us. So it is 9:48. Looks like on Tuesday, May 9th, 2020. And I'd like to call the Kane County Board meeting to order, please. Clerk, please call the roll.
Stretch about almost 30 miles wide, and worse than that.
Allen present.
Bates,
Bates here.
Berman,
Berman's here.
Doherty.
Here.
Davis.
Davis here.
Dubs.
All present.
Juby.
Over here.
Kenyon.
Here.
Dias.
Dias present.
Leonard.
Leonard here.
Lewis.
Who's here?
Linder.
Linder here.
Molina.
Molina present.
Roth.
Roth here.
Sanchez.
Sanchez present.
Silva.
Silva's here.
Stratton.
Here.
Surgis. Carver.
Tarver present.
Pepe.
Jeppy here.
Williams. Young.
Young here.
And Madam Chair, you have a quorum.
Thank you very much. Ms. Strathman, can you please lead us in the pledge and the invocation?
Yes, ma'am. The Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Madam Chair, as I look to decide what to do for the invocation this month, please be seated, everybody, please be seated. I looked at the month of May, and May is filled with opportunities to be recognized. There's May Day, Cinco de Mayo, Mother's Day, Armed Forces Day,
Madam Chair, or
National Maritime Day.
use your microphone.
Your
so
microphone.
everyone can
Oh,
hear.
you can't hear me. All right, I'll sit there.
Yeah, I think we all have to sit with these new mics.
Thank you.
So there is May Day, Cinco de Mayo, Mother's Day, Armed Forces Day, National Maritime Day, and Memorial Day. But there is also School Principals Day, World Tuna Day, No Socks Day, and tomorrow, for you all to know, is Root Canal Appreciation Day. From the dental hygienist. And Star Wars Day, I'm just learning as well. So. But on a serious note, the month of May has also been declared by our president as Jewish American Heritage Day. And so for that reason, I have invited to give us the invocation this morning, Rabbi Margaret Fish Klein from Elgin. She's one of our spiritual leaders. She's one of our treasurers from Elgin. She's a published author. She's an award winner, and she is a force to be contended with. And she's going to be leading us this morning.
That's quite the introduction. It is prior actually to President Biden. This has been, what are we calling it? Jewish American Heritage Month. It's also Asian American Month as well. I hope many of you managed to get to the Gailbourn Public Library to observe that occurrence. Today in the Jewish tradition, it's Lag BaOmer, the 33rd day of the counting of the Omer between Passover and Pentecost. And it is Teacher Appreciation Week. And so Lag BaOmer, all the way back in Talmudic times, was about teacher appreciation. So we'll add that thought to this mix. It was also the coronation of a king. You know, we left Britain, so we didn't have a king, but Jews have prayed for their countries wherever they are since Jeremiah's day. And my husband has a falling apart now prayer book from Great Britain that includes a prayer for committee meetings. So with your indulgence, I offer this. Let us come together in God's name and preserve prepare ourselves to do God's will. May God's presence dwell among us, drawing us to serve God and his creatures with justice and with love. Let us listen to each other with respect and treat each other with wisdom and generosity, so that we witness to the master whom we serve and justify God's choice of us. May none of our controversies rise up like those of Korah from ambition and self-seeking. Let them only be for the sake of heaven. May our eyes be open to see God's greatness in the smallest things we do. Through our faithfulness, may the cause of goodness prosper in the world. And let us say, Amen.
Amen. Thank you. Thank you.
Oh, I'm also being told it's Police Memorial Week. And for us to remember the first responders who have been lost. So it's quite an important May.
And there'll be several more as well, recognitions of the importance of May. So now, may I please have the approval of the minutes of April 11th?
Roth will second.
Are there any changes or amendments to these minutes? Seeing none online. Clerk, please call the roll.
Ellen,
I.
Bates,
Yes.
Berman,
Berman, yes.
Doherty,
Yes.
Davis,
That was yes.
Ford, Gums,
Gums, yes.
Iqbal,
Iqbal, yes.
Juby,
Ruby, yes.
Kenyon,
Yes.
Caius,
Yes.
Leonard,
Leonard, yes.
Lewis,
Yes.
Linder,
Linder, yes.
Molina,
Molina, yes.
Roth,
Yes.
Sanchez,
Sanchez, yes.
Silva,
Silva, yes.
Rathman,
Nothing, yes.
Surges, Tarver,
Tarver, yes.
Pepe,
Yes.
Williams,
Williams, yes.
Young.
Yes.
That passes.
Very good, thank you. We're going to be moving on to public comment, but before we do so, I would like to ask the board, if you do not mind, we're going to have a slight change in the agenda. After public comment, I'd like to move directly on to executive session and then to move back to our regular scheduled agenda. The reason why is we have a number of attorneys who are here who need to go back to work, and some of them have court cases that they have to hear. So this would expedite them and allow them to return back to the job that they do so very well. So with that approval, thank you. We'll go on to the public comment. And I'd like to, is there any, did anybody sign up?
I did. I'm on Zoom. I was confused that we could still meet in person with the email response that I received. Mhm.
I will ask any of the individuals who signed up to speak before the meeting. Are any of these items going to be on agenda?
No.
That was a no. Okay, very good. Thank you. So I will have the speakers who are going to be speaking on agenda go first, please. That's Mark Avalar. You will have 5 minutes.
You said 5 minutes, right?
Yes,
It says 3 minutes on the clock here, so. Thank you, Madam Chair. I don't think I'm going to need the 5 minutes. I do want to speak, though, in favor of, in the consent agenda, Resolution 23-206, which is the awarding of the contract for the lobbyist. And I want to, as strongly as I could, say I support this, and I ask that all of you support this as well. The Legislative Committee is definitely, I have had a chance to attend some of their meetings, definitely during this session of the county board. And that is definitely the place to funnel all these needs of what we need from our legislators, both at the state and at the federal level. The county, and I recognize this as being divided among multiple departments, but certainly all of you, we are all of your constituents. And all of the sheriff's constituents and all of the coroner's constituents and all of the state's attorneys. So state level, we know it's winding down in Springfield, and we know that things can happen instantly. And I know I'm sure this wasn't an oversight, but Mental Health Awareness Month is also the month of May. And mental health and House Bill 475 had to be a real knee-jerk reaction for anybody involved in mental health, because that is dramatically changing how the mental health boards are governed if it goes through as was originally written in a shell bill. And these types of shell bills and these types of last-minute changes that nobody knew about until the day it's passed the chamber is something that I think the legislative committee and co-chairs Gums and Lindner, as well as the entire committee and the entire county board, can get behind and ensure that the best practices are going to be put into public policy, even at the state level. You have 11 708 mental health boards across this county. And while we don't have lobbyists at our townships or at the cities, and it might be, we have a lobbyist hired into the county, would like to see use them to the most of it when it comes to the state level legislation. I also must point out that there is federal component. I didn't hear a lot of this at the executive committee, but the federal components, I know I've talked about some of this at the legislative level, and the misinformation and honest disinformation about federal legislation that can impact our county and our residents is just so multifold. Just at a meeting last night, at an appearance, Congresswoman Chakowski was in Algonquin, and I recognize she's not in Kane County, but she represents 60% of our constituents in Algonquin. And just even hearing from her and her staff, and it's a good team, yet they're not getting the whole truth. And many of the things coming out of Washington can be seen as multi-pronged. Close friend of mine, an associate of an independent contractor, testified before Congress, and for the first time in 3 years, independent contractors got their voice at the table. But more to the point, federal grants, SAMHSA for Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration for the mental health boards. We don't have the leverage of a population base of over 530,000 people as you do. And that is something that I hope through your efforts, whether it's through SAMHSA, getting those regional administrators out here to hear our cases and why we need their support and possibly grants, and can we qualify or just show us how to do this. I see all of y'all being a focal point to bring this to a fruition. We all know the challenges of mental health. We all know of the tragedy that happened in New York and Jordan Neely's passing, and it's growing. And the growing needs in our community is self-evident. But finally, though, and I know I've got about a minute left, just trust the process that all of y'all did, and certainly that co-chairs Gums and Lindner led, and approve this proposal. One suggestion I would have from a mechanics is, in order the best way you're going to be able to bring legislators in person here to Kane County, especially during session, is if the legislative committee moves its meetings to Mondays. I mean, if we got Congresswoman Chakowski in Algonquin on a Monday night, all of y'all can get state or federal legislators into your county board legislative committee meetings on a Monday morning. That's a suggestion. I know it's something you have to walk through with the Open Meetings Act, but certainly that's a suggestion as you implement your plan, that you move that committee meeting to a time where the legislators, both federal and state, can come here to Geneva and ask questions. And by all means, as I always tell folks, as some of you all know, push back and push on them. Make them answer the questions fully. I thank you, and I yield back my time.
Okay, thank you. Janine Mayer. And everybody else, you'll now have 3 minutes to speak.
My name is Janine Mayer. I've lived in Kane County 35 years. I'm a concerned citizen and getting more and more concerned as each new revelation comes out about the lack of election integrity in Kane County. I'm here to speak to the board, the state's attorney, Jamie Masser, and the Kane County clerk, Jack Cunningham. Election integrity should be a topic that's nonpartisan. All people should be equally concerned about fairness and transparency in our elections. At the March 14th, 2023 board meeting, we confirmed the award from the U.S. Alliance of Election Excellence was procedurally incorrect. To date, we have not heard updates since the March 23rd, 2023 committee meeting related to this discovery. Other citizen speakers mentioned the contract, which was signed by Jack in December 2022. However, in the March 14th meeting, it was clarified the contract was designated to Kane County, not the county clerk. This revelation has left us wondering who had the legal authorization to sign on behalf of the county for the original contract. What does that mean for the $650,000 in funds already distributed if Jack Cunningham was not authorized to sign that contract? If the money is not returned, what would this mean for the conditions of the contract relating to the initial distributed funds? Lastly, the county board and the state's attorney are required to provide their review and approval of any contract in excess of $30,000. Jack Cunningham signed this contract without doing this. In an interesting confluence of events, on April 21st, 2023, a bill was introduced in the United States House of Representatives called the Protect American Election Administrative Act. Why? During the 2020 election, election administration in the United States was politically influenced because of multi-millions in private spending by private individuals with political agendas. In return, the private funds expended by many election administration offices were used to implement insecure voting methods, harvest or cure ballots, and conduct extensive outreach campaigns to benefit the donors' preferred candidates. These funds were targeted in Democratic counties to increase turnout in areas that would be beneficial to Democratic candidates. U.S. Congressman Tom Cole said, "When Americans go to the ballot box, they should have full confidence in the election systems that are the bedrock of our great republic." After a chaotic 2020 election cycle, and as we enter the 2024 presidential election cycle, it's clear that this confidence has come to a new low. The Protect American Election Administrative Act would prevent political agendas funded by private dollars from interfering with individual state nonpartisan voting processes and ensure that all Americans have the confidence that their vote truly counts. For this reason, the citizens of Kane County are here to ask that Jack Cunningham and the Kane County Board not only return the funds due to the contractual issues noted, but permanently refuse the award from the U.S. Alliance of Election Excellence and therefore restore our confidence. Thank you.
Kenneth Global.
This actually is on topic, so I don't know if that gets me 5 minutes or however, but I'll be brief. Thank you. I always like to start by saying thank you guys for all you do. Appreciate it. In looking through the agenda and the hundreds of pages that followed, something struck me that I wanted to bring to your attention. And that was the request after, I guess, there's $104 million. It's a lot of money to us common folks that pay the bills. There was a request to fund a Kane County, it's resolution 23-185, which I'm hoping you will not approve. That is the one for the salary and benefits of $264,000 for an expungement clerk. Upon reviewing the details that were put into that, it said 7.5 hours per day amounts to a little over 27,000 hours, which when we calculated that was 3,642 days. When we divided that by 250 working days, that was 14.58 years. When we multiplied the $264,000, which would make this the highest paid public employee according to the open payrolls, it says, Jamie, according to this, Jamie has the highest at 185,000. This would be 264,000, a 48% increase. As a taxpayer, I find that to be an abuse. I find that to be a waste. I find that to be a political boondoggle to give somebody a position. It amounts to about $4 million, which would be a great retirement package for somebody who wants to do the expungements. But I think that we'd like more responsibility with our money. And so I would like you to vote on each one of these issues individually and to reject that proposal because it's irresponsible spending of our tax dollars. And if I could, while I just wrap up, because this money is coming from a federal government, I guess. So there's always strings attached when it comes and it's attached to the Treasury. I just want to talk about a couple things. This game, pandemic, of course, we went through a pandemic, right? This is a board game about a virus that starts in China, works its way around the world. And you don't win individually, but you win by playing and working together. Social scoring. This game was created in 2013. If you believe the pandemic was just random, good for you. I don't. Now, keep in mind, I'm one who got the blood cancer after taking the coerced vaccine. And so my life expectancy, according to Google, is 10 years. This new position would be 10.48 years. So according to Google, I wouldn't live long enough to see that person finish. But by the grace of God, I've had a surgery, removed a whole bunch of stuff inside of me, and the cancer's gone. So I'm thankful. I'm very thankful. I'm also, one last comment I'd like to make, and then I'll leave. But walking in today, well, first of all, the opening prayer was really terrific. Half my family was Jewish, and I can't express to you enough how thankful I am that you allow God's presence in the room. And when I walk in and I see the World Health Organization promoted, a subsidiary of the United Nations, which its largest financial contributor is Germany. The second largest contributor is Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. And I thought to myself, while we're praying about this, this month of celebration for so many people, I think Mother's Day should be a week, not a day. If teachers can get a week, let mothers have a week too. But in this social age where people get offended by so many different things, I feel as a white male heterosexual, I have a voice to be able to speak freely, that I'm offended that we pledge allegiance to the flag, and either we have hollow words or we put in a foreign entity that has no constitutional, legislative, or legal authority in the United States of America, or in Illinois, or in Kane County. So in my point of view, we're putting up propaganda from a foreign entity that Bill Gates and Melinda Gates and Germany, going back to the prayer, Germany had Hitler. Hitler told people, work together. Here's a ticket to the train to Auschwitz. You've won the prize. Like I said, half my family, my dad's side of the family was Jewish. We bought Israeli bonds back in 1972. I want you to factor that in. You guys will live longer, most likely, for this new position if you vote it in. I ask you not to approve it and don't vote it in. Let's look for alternatives that don't provide a 48% increase over the highest paid public employee of Kane County, according to the records that I show. Thank you for your time.
Kara Witowski. I believe. Is Ms. Witowski here? No. Michelle Langworthy. She's online.
Oh, there you are. She's on.
Can you let her in, please? Michelle, are you muted? Michelle, we'll move forward and we'll get back to you. Devin Corbett. Corbett, I'm sorry.
Sorry?
I think I mispronounced your last name. It's Corbett.
Corbett. My name's Devin Corbett from Aurora. And I'm concerned today because we just went through an election which was certified even in the midst of grave concerns about the website outage that occurred on election night, if we could still call it that. Just as a reminder, the clerk's website reporting the voting results went dark for more than an hour. And when it returned, several candidates' the vote counts had been lowered or reduced or disappeared, whatever you call it, votes were lost. And how does that happen? The remaining votes were tallied and the election was certified without so much as an explanation, even to this day. So we've heard nothing, and I think that the voting citizens of Kane County would like a satisfactory explanation. Avoiding the subject only builds anxiety and suspicion about the validity of the Kane County elections. I'm also concerned about the status of the county's agreement with the U.S. Alliance. We understand the state's attorneys recommended changes to the agreement, but we haven't heard anything since. If the clerk is not making those changes, then it's incumbent upon you, the board, to push this along. It seems to me that there is no contract, since either in its current form it's not valid, or all parties have not yet agreed to the changes. And if there is no contract, maybe the clerk should take this opportunity to return the money and get out of it once and for all. But in any case, if no other progress has been made, then that would mean that the ball is in your court, the county board. What are you going to do about the status of the agreement? Now, the core problem with both of these and other issues is transparency or lack thereof, primarily on the part of the clerk's office. Examples include avoiding a full explanation of the website outage, stalling or hiding progress with regard to the agreement. And let's go even further to election judges refusing poll watcher access to view signature verifications and refusing to print tally tapes for the poll watchers, as well as other parts of the election process. It concerns me that even though the state law allows for reasonable public access to view all election materials, this access is being denied or very begrudgingly granted with much consternation. Please take appropriate affirmative action to preserve our transparency and resolve these matters. And thank you very much for the opportunity and time to speak with you about it.
Thank you. Ms. Langworthy, are you ready to speak? Okay, very good. Thank you. Katie Bakke.
Hello. I've been kicked off of Facebook and Twitter. All of my posts, followers, and friends were deleted without any explanation as to why. And you know who doesn't have a problem with that? People who claim to be liberal, as in liberty. Liberty isn't the same as freedom. Liberties come with strings. My Democrat friends ask, well, what did you post? Well, what difference does that make? Fascists disguised as live and let live liberals say Twitter and Facebook are private companies. They can do whatever they want. No, Twitter and Facebook are public corporations. Facebook was created by the CIA to replace its Operation LifeLog, not a conspiracy theory. Look it up. And now we know Twitter censored upon directives of the FBI. The evidence is out there for those who wish to see it. Even though the CIA was started by Nazi war criminals, Operation Paperclip, and the FBI was established despite the request for a charter being rejected by the Congress way back when, both alphabet agencies are operating on the taxpayer's dime, and so they shall be considered the state, the deep state. Following simple logic, censorship by Twitter and Facebook is state censorship. And many Democrats and some Republicans are just fine with that. What a world we live in today. Kane County is not immune to the muzzling of men and women and children who say that the fascists don't want out. Last month at this meeting, a question arose, are those of us who make public comments required to give our names and addresses? Who did the board president refer to guidance for that on that question? The state's attorney, a member of the Bar Association. To what did the state's attorney refer to for the answer to that question? The Constitution for the United States of America? The Illinois Constitution? No, some rule book of the corporation. When the superior oath of every member of the bar is to the corporation, not to we the people or to the constitutions created by the consent of the people. At the start of last month's meeting, Corinne publicly scolded and warned all board members, some of who had dared express heartfelt agreement with some of the public comments made during the March meeting. That's censorship by a Democrat. I credit the one Democrat board member who dared open her mouth during the March meeting. Is it a coincidence that she was the only board member at the April meeting wearing a face mask and didn't say a word? That's just not censorship. That's creepy. That's satanic, and that's evil. The good news is the veil is being lifted, exposing all the frauds in government, the media, the church, and beyond, and some are losing their cool with good reason. I applaud those in this room and in this county and in this republic who dared to exercise their unalienable right to express themselves as they see fit. The more the fascists try to silence us, the louder we must become. Applause is not only welcome, it's your God-given right. God bless you.
Kim Sieber.
Hi. I've lived in Kane County for 5 years. I am a concerned citizen and I want to go back to the old-fashioned paper ballots that are hand counted, not by a machine that can easily be manipulated. We have not had honest, fair elections since voting has been done electronically. Mail-in ballots should be few and far between and only requested by a registered voter. People have a month to mail in their ballot. So if not received by election day, oh well, hence the phrase, if you snooze, you lose. Voting is not about one political party versus another. We all just want to know that we, the people, have selected whomever has won an election. We can all accept whomever wins when the voting is 100% honest and fair. But that is not what has been happening in Kane County and most of the country, due to the fact that computers can easily be manipulated and votes changed in seconds. As a poll watcher, I noticed that most people gave their ID, driver's license, even though it is not required. So it would be very easy to require a voter ID for all registered voters. Another bonus for using paper ballots is the fact that there is and this is a quote, huge cost saving by hand counting and not using machines. And that is according to a report by Linda Rance of A Cause of America in Missouri. Definitely a big win for all taxpayers. And with paper ballots, we definitely do not need to accept $2 million with unknown strings attached. No one gives away that amount of money without a reason that requires payback. It is all very nefarious. Thank you.
Is Tristy Matuzaka? Is that better?
Good morning, everybody. My name is Tristy Matuzaka, and I've lived in Kane County for the last 26 years. I was a poll watcher during the consolidated election this spring. On March 29th, I was poll watching right here at the Kane County Government Center. When I arrived, I checked in with the election judge and provided my credentials. The election judge looked at my credentials and told me that I was not allowed to use them and therefore could not poll watch. She said that I can only use credentials from a candidate. My credentials were from a civic organization. I showed her the code which verified that I could use the credentials I presented. The election judge still refused, so I had to ask them to check with Raymond Esquivel, the director of elections. Raymond confirmed that I was correct and that I could use the credentials I provided to poll watch. After being there for a short while, I realized there were actually 2 separate rooms about 30 feet apart where voting was taking place. I headed down the door of the room I was in to go to do some poll watching in the other room. I was stopped by a different election judge. This judge told me I could not go to the other room without providing more credentials. Since this was not a standard situation, I asked if we could get a clarification from the election, again, the directors of elections. The election judge was stopping me from going to the other room called. Raymond explained that he saw the two rooms like they were two separate polling places. So I needed to provide additional credentials to go into the second room. Then he went on to say that the credentials for the second room had to be from a different source than the one I used in the first room. I asked where I could find the requirement for credentials from a different source in the code. Once I challenged it, he said, I did not need the credentials from a different source, but I did need a second copy of my credentials for each room in order to be able to poll watch in both rooms. I ran to my car, grabbed my second copy of my credentials, and then was admitted to the second room. It is clear, my experience, that the election judges are not being properly trained. The one thing I cannot figure out, though, is why doesn't the director of elections know the election code? Isn't that his job? Should he be the one supervising the elections, be the highest point of contact responding to the incidents if he does not understand basics in election codes? Thank you for this opportunity.
Any Plum? There you go. This microphone.
Hello, my name is Penny Plum, and I have been a resident of Kane County for 29 years. I have attended several of the meetings observing a group of citizens voicing their concerns regarding a $2 million award presented to the county from the U.S. Alliance for Election Excellence. I am also a precinct committee person speaking based on feedback from my constituents. I've had several weeks to consider this award. It keeps reminding me of the story of the Battle of Troy. You know the story. The Greeks devised a cunning plan to win the war against the people of Troy. The Greeks built a huge wooden horse and left it outside the gates of Troy as a beautiful gift while they pretend to give up the battle by sailing away. Secretly, they assembled a large group of their warriors inside the horse. The Trojan army accepts the offering by bringing the horse into the city gates to celebrate their victory. But when night fell, the Greek army crept out of the opened the gates to the city, letting the rest of the army, which had secretly sailed away, back to Troy. In the dark of night, the people of Kane County, Troy, were fast asleep. The city and its people were sacked, and Troy fell. Metaphorically, a Trojan horse has come to mean any trick or strategy that causes a target to invite a foe into a formerly protected place. Potentially, Kane County is poised to be the next victim of this strategy. Hundreds of Kane County citizens attend multiple meetings over the last 8 weeks and have brought a variety of concerns relating to this award and its potential to negatively impact our elections. I have visited the U.S. Alliance for Election Excellence website. Their words depict cooperative citizens where everyone helps out the way we all wish things were, or the way we imagine they used to be. Interestingly, every human face on that site is depicted wearing their virtue signaling mask. Dated? Perhaps. Symbolic? Absolutely. My gut and experience tells me that the mask is symbolic and there is a hidden agenda lurking behind the innocent-looking facade. The award comes with strings attached on how the money is spent and what equipment and vendors must be used. Learn from the 23 states that prohibit, limit, or regulate the use of private or philanthropic sources to help fund elections. These limitations were implemented due to bad experiences and show a healthy skepticism regarding any private money. We elected you, And it is your responsibility to make sure our elections in Kane County are protected. Do you want more voter participation? Then conduct squeaky clean and transparent elections so voters know that their votes and only their votes count. Unlike Troy, you have been awakened before it's too late. If you are not absolutely certain that the private funding is not sneaking its way into an undetectable position of influence into our Kane County election processes, and if you are not certain whether or not this is a Trojan horse, then it is your duty to ensure that it is rejected. Thank you. Thank you.
Janine Mayer.
No, but I had the evil mask from Satan. That was me.
May I ask how the minutes and the lights work, and is there any, I mean, I'm missing out. How do these work before I start? Oh, thank you. That was my husband. How did the lights and the minutes work? It says 3 minutes, and when do they come on?
It's a recording secretary. They'll be on right now.
Oh, I just didn't know how they work. Like, you get a warning, I think. Is it 1 minute or 3 minutes?
The green go, yellow, you're getting short of time, and red, you should stop.
I'm a 32-year Kane County resident. I'm here because I love God and I love my country. Our country, a constitutional republic, ruled by the Constitution and by the people, through elections for our representatives, is one in which freedom and bounty are there for the price of hard work for anyone from any country, any culture, or skin color. The realistic idea that we could have election fraud and the fact that we have bribery in the clerk's office is very alarming. And this threatens to nullify our Constitution, both federal and state. In 1787, when it seemed the Constitutional Convention was going nowhere in the debate of how each state would be represented, Benjamin Franklin spoke, quote, "The small progress we have made after 4 to 5 weeks, close attendance and continual reasonings with each other, that we have not hitherto once thought of humbly applying the Father of lights to illuminate our understanding. Except the Lord build the house, they labor in vain that build it. I firmly believe this. I beg to move that henceforth prayers imploring the assistance of heaven and its blessings on our deliberations be held every morning before we proceed to business," end quote. And when God sees something important, he says it twice. So my prayer will be similar to what's already been given. Our Father in heaven. So I'm going to give a prayer and a blessing. Our Father in heaven, hallowed be your name. Your will be done on earth as it is in heaven. We thank you for people willing to take their time to represent we the people, and for citizens that let their representatives know both facts and opinions. Your holy word promises wisdom if we ask for it. Wisdom comes from fear and knowledge of the Lord. Father, I pray for wisdom and discernment for Kane County Board and we the people, that both groups, now referred to as we, would put our God and country before power and money, that we would focus on whatever is fine and noble and put an end to that which is not. With the local control, that is what our country is about. Powers not specifically given to the federal government are given to the state and the people respectively. Help us, both groups, to stand for truth and justice, no matter if they stand alone or whether victory is assured. That we would be a people above reproach in every way. We thank and we praise you for this amazing country and ask your forgiveness that most of us have taken the freedom and bounty our founders won, not only with their blood, but with their finances. And we have taken that for granted. We ask your forgiveness. Awaken an army of citizens to know the price of freedom is eternal vigilance. And this not for ourselves,
but for the young people of this country, the nation's most valuable resource. Father, I ask you to bless and guide the efforts of the Kane County Board as they deliberate any topic, but specifically election integrity, so that our U.S. Constitution is not nullified. I ask this in the powerful name of Jesus Christ, my Lord and Savior. And I had a Bible verse that just came up at the last minute, Psalm 106, verse 3. Blessed
Ms.
are
Meyer.
they who maintain justice, who constantly do what is right. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Mer, Jeannie Mer, Mehr. Thank you. And Mike Meyer. There he is. Shoes, I see.
Howdy. Mike Meyer,
Morning.
Elgin since 2009. 3 points, I can be brief. There's no free lunch. Wish Jack Cunningham was here to address a few things. And this looks like a bribe. Beware. There's a term that says no free lunch. This U.S. Alliance for Election Integrity is not as free as it seems. No free lunch. You go to a saloon in the 19th century. Hey, we got free lunch here. Buy a beer and have a lunch. They'd salt it up. So you need 2 or 3 more beers to chase it down. You spend more than you expected. Surprise, unexpected cost. Item number 2, wish Jack Cunningham was here. There are several items that other people have brought up that he should be aware about and he should be addressing. The third thing, this looks like a bribe. I'm not real sophisticated, but it does not look good. With my apologies to Mrs. Margaret, who is much better at the book of Proverbs than I am, I like to read my Bible. Proverbs chapter 17 and verse 23. A wicked man accepts a bribe in secret to pervert the course of justice. Let's not do that. You guys are good. Keep our trust in you for doing the right thing. God bless.
That concludes our public comment. May I please have a motion and a second to place these public comments on file?
Caius move.
Yes.
Roth seconds.
Roth. Clerk, please call the roll.
Oops, Allen,
Allen, aye.
Bates,
Bates, yes.
Berman,
yes.
Doherty,
Yes.
Davis,
Yes.
Ford,
Yes.
Gums,
Gums, yes.
Iqbal,
Iqbal, yes.
Chuby,
Yes.
Kenyon, Caius,
Caius, yes.
Leonard,
Leonard, yes.
Lewis,
Yes.
Linder,
Linder, yes.
Lena,
Molina, yes.
Roth,
Roth, yes.
Sanchez,
Sanchez, yes.
Silva,
Silva, yes.
Strathman,
Rathman, yes.
Sturgis, Tarver,
Tarver, yes.
Tepe,
Yes.
Williams,
Williams, yes.
Young.
Young, yes.
It passes.
Question.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
Berman, I don't recall us ever voting to make public comments on the record. Is that something we've accepted without voting on in the past, or why are we voting on it today?
Has it usually been done by consent?
We've never voted on it to the best of my knowledge.
That's the first we've done that.
Well, I'm glad because I'm reading my notes properly.
Okay,
Very good.
thank you.
Like now to have a motion to move into executive session.
Leonard moves.
For what
which
reason,
purpose?
Madam Chair?
I'm sorry,
For what reason?
I will.
We have to state. a reason.
Yes, we have to state the reason. Yes, ma'am.
It's my understanding that is for pending litigation.
It is my understanding it's for pending litigation.
Madam Chair, I place a motion to go into executive session to discuss pending litigation.
Seconds.
Seconds.
Allen,
Allen, I.
Bates,
Bates, yes.
Berman,
Yes.
Doherty,
Yes.
Davis,
Davis, yes.
Ford,
Ford, yes.
Gums,
Gums, yes.
Iqbal,
Iqbal, yes.
Zuby,
Yes.
Kenyon,
Yes.
Caius,
Yes.
Leonard,
Leonard, yes.
Lewis,
Yes.
Linder,
Linda, yes.
Lena,
Paulina, yes.
Roth,
Roth, yes.
Sanchez,
Sanchez, yes.
Silva.
Silva, yes. Silva, yes.
Thank you. Strathman,
Yes.
Surges, Tarver,
Tarver, yes.
Tippy,
Yes.
Williams,
Williams, yes.
Young.
Yes.
Mayor, I've also been advised that there's probable or imminent litigation, not just pending litigation. So I just want to make that clear.
So it's pending and probable litigation.
No, not same thing. Pending litigation is already filed. Probable and imminent means it's either going to be filed or we may be filing.
Promotion.
Yes.
Additionally, it does indicate statement of claims. Or settlement of claims. With section A and B.
So are we're all fine? Before we go into closed session, I would like to thank everyone who came out today to give up your time and spend some time telling us about your concerns. With that, I'm going to ask you all to leave. You're welcome to stay in the hall and to come back if you'd like to hear the rest of the meeting.
All right, everybody that's online that will be joining us for the closed session, you will receive an invite. Please accept that invite to go into the closed session. I remind you, though, we are live streaming, so anything you say will be going out live to the public until I tell you we're all back together again in the closed session.
What? Yeah. Want some help? That's bullshit.
May 9th, 2023.
So a reminder to those in the room that are using their laptops, please also join the closed session. We need all of you in the room in the closed session as well. I'm still waiting for a few folks online and a few folks in the room to accept those invites. We can't go anywhere until everybody accepts.
Can't go.
We have the room set up downstairs.
Take one back.
You're here or not?
I have two folks in the room who have not accepted their invites into the closed session.
These are all the same, right? Okay.
You the other one? Did you accept your invite?
I did.
Oh.
But you've done it.
Is there anybody hearing my voice that feels they should be in the closed session? Any online folks hearing my voice think they should be in the closed session?
Yeah, normally, no.
He's out of full.
No, he just wants to enjoy this beautiful view. Do we have a couple minutes?
Leonard Quill.
After one at a time.
Oh, my God, why do I care? Yeah.
I've never had somebody call me satanic before. Well, I will miss a lot.
All right, you are back in open session.
What?
Why did we do that? Yeah, never. Lawyer, did you bring them or what? You know, he says, hey, you out of line, was out of line.
I don't know, maybe because I blame the county for bad sidewalk or bad stuff.
All right, we are back in open session. Clerk, could you please call the roll?
I think people are on like potty breaks right now.
Oh, are we?
There's a
Oh.
lot of people that are not here right now.
Oh, maybe that's not.
I want to wait a minute.
Sort of a vacant over here and this,
Time to take a break.
something I said.
I assume we're on a few minutes break then.
A 5-minute recess.
Oh, boy.
Not a bad call.
All right, I'm going to go back.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah.
Let the festivities begin.
Are we taking a break or are we good for a break? Well, that's not gonna give me enough time to go downstairs. I'll wait. Right. We're gonna need more than 2 minutes, Bill.
Oh, I thought he was taking his. So maybe I will take a bathroom break.
Yeah.
You know, the gentleman who
We're on
was
break.
speaking from Algonquin, he's a.
Yeah.
Yeah, so.
Alvera, yeah.
All I wanted to know is the nuclear energy thing. Are you still-
Yeah, close. Yeah, he's always here, I think.
Yeah, he's very gung ho about lobbying.
One big
You know, he lobbies us for
Yeah.
appeals to us. He works with state legislators, and I know he's tracking federal things. He really likes it. He's whatever Dundee Township mental health board president.
Your fuel.
Yeah.
Site transport.
Yeah.
Reading.
I didn't really have any changes. Obviously it's a working document in my mind.
He puts in a lot of work.
And I'm like, to me, that far out. Because it takes so
He doesn't care if his opinions are popular or unpopular. He's just-
Longer time. I don't care. I don't.
Which I know from firsthand experience, it kind of, sometimes it can make both sides mad at you. If you're not telling either what they want to hear, but you're addressing the parts that makes sense for you. You know. So, yeah, he's.
Hydros. Some people are talking
You
about.
can't put it in there unless we, yeah.
Oh, I'm upset.
That'd be so cool. Yeah. So we're.
It's about presenting my.
I know. So this box, how big are the holes?
I love that.
When I
I
was
love
there.
them having the separate now. What they're gonna.
When I was at Pratt.
You put a pot in, they are, you got it done like this.
You can put a pot in,
And then his.
or you can put soil in.
And the amount of paperwork, how much, like, you know, it's an O-ring in one of those things, how much it costs.
Giving me a better feeling
Soil
anyway.
in and then put the pots in, put the pots in, soil around. How,
Although I'm gonna tell her I don't appreciate it.
I measured it.
Yeah, I saw him.
It's 3.5 feet.
Are we ready?
Probably
Three and a half
now,
feet.
is it just sit on the floor or hang in front of a window or on the patio or?
It's raised, it's about, you know.
Yeah, their lease.
About
extension.
all.
No phone number, right? So that's all that matters. I know.
That ideas.
What I'm concerned about is not only did we have to pay for it, you know,
Of course.
because.
Started on the board.
But
Somebody was raising. budget,
no,
so-
now she has more spaces for plants that she will kill.
Thank you.
Oh, hey, thank you.
You're ready to give that.
Well, then,
I did too, just wait. It's different. I gotta.
Thanks, sir.
Good morning.
Groundbreaking. Get that,
you're gonna put it,
And others.
Well, we've been discussing that
because that'll make a difference for plants.
Get it the granite.
in some,
I've got the right. And,
not all the time.
but
Morning or afternoon?
What are we getting now? More gifts.
Any break from?
Let's complete this.
Yeah, she moved.
Yeah, she.
Okay, I was gonna read that. Things that you can do, you can do something because.
Yeah, I try to do that too.
Made a
It's,
decision to do it. I don't
it's,
do that.
you know, it's about this deep.
So it's on legs?
Sure, they don't.
Oh,
We'll
okay.
give them.
I misunderstood.
It's okay.
Well,
Yeah, okay.
Give them something, give them something else to draw on.
Well, that's it. Like Thursday night.
He doesn't draw, that's.
Ladies and gentlemen, are we ready to get going?
Settle those cases.
Yeah.
You're going to trial next week.
Right after,
All are.
right after.
We are. Welcome back. We are back in open session. Clerk, please call the roll.
Okay, for open session, Ellen. Alan present.
It's here.
Berman. Doherty.
Here.
Gavist. Ford. Gums.
Comes here.
Iqbal.
All here.
B.
Over here.
Kenyon.
Here.
Caius.
Vice President.
Here. Lewis.
Who's here?
Linder.
Linder here.
Molina.
Molina present.
Roth.
Roth here.
Sanchez.
Present.
Silva. Mr. Silva. Strathman. Burgess. Okay. Tarver.
Tarver here.
Pepe.
Be here.
Williams.
Williams here.
And Young.
Young here.
Quorum. Very good. So let's finish up what we started in closed session. So may I please have a motion and a second to approve item number 23-228?
Leonard moves. Wait. Alan said 228. Who did that again?
We had Alan.
Alan. And then who seconds? Bates?
Leonard moved. Alan.
Oh, sorry.
Oh.
Me too.
What are we doing? Rolling now?
Right, very good.
Sorry.
I think we all need a little vacation. All right.
Madam Chair, point of
Order.
I believe we need to bring our attorney up to read the resolution since it was not included in the packet.
Thank you.
Are we not modifying the agenda to bring items 9, open session, A, B, C, and D all up for approval
That's what
now?
we're doing right now.
Okay.
Resolution number 23-228, authorizing settlement of cases 20 CV 007773, 21 CV 005278, 22 CV 3964, 23 CV 00744, and 23 CV 01457. Whereas there are currently 5 cases pending in the Northern District of Illinois Eastern Division filed by former inmate Randy Norwood related to his incarceration at the King County Justice Center. Said cases having numbers again, 20 CV 007773, 21 CV 005278, 22 CV 396, 23 CV 00744, and 23 CV 01457, referred to as the litigation. And whereas the parties to the litigation have agreed it is in the best interest of all parties to resolve and settle the litigation and any and all other known and unknown claims of plaintiff in order to avoid the costs associated with further and protracted litigation. Now, therefore, it is resolved by the King County Board that it hereby approves settlement of the aforementioned matters in the amount of $14,000, inclusive of attorney's fees and costs to be paid as per the settlement agreement agreed by the parties in exchange for a full release of any and all known and unknown claims which may be asserted by the plaintiff against King County and its elected officials, including the King County Sheriff and their respective employees, representatives and agents in their official and individual capacity. Thank you.
Thank you. And with that, clerk, could you please call the roll?
I would like a
Oh, yes.
point of order for,
Yes.
I'm sorry, apparently we have to have this exactly right. I have a question about, when you read those, I'm looking at a couple of different copies here. Is it important to have them exactly right? I've got 23-00744 and you read it as 23-CV.
The CV is missing.
The
Yeah.
CV is
missing there. And then there's another one down here where it's
The 4 was left.
in there. Yeah, it's also in the resolution itself and the other part. In the body,
3964.
you're missing the CV. I'm sure it's a Scribner's error, but might be
It
important.
is a Scrivener's error. CV stands for civil litigation.
Okay, so.
Thank
My duty for the day, sorry.
Well done.
All right, you can go home.
All right, with that correction. Nothing else, clerk, please call the roll.
Ellen,
I.
Bates,
Bates, yes.
Berman,
Berman, yes.
Doherty,
Yes.
Davis,
Yes.
Ford,
Ford, yes.
Gums,
Gums, yes.
Iqbal,
Iqbal, yes.
Juby, Kenyon,
Yes.
Caius,
Guys, yes.
Leonard,
Leonard, yes.
Lewis,
Lewis, yes.
Linder,
Linder, yes.
Molina,
Molina, yes.
Roth,
Roth, yes.
Sanchez,
Sanchez, yes.
Silva,
Silva, yes.
Strathman,
Strathman, yes.
Sturgis, Tarver,
Tarver, yes.
Debbie,
Deppie, yes.
Williams, yes.
Young.
Young, yes.
May I have a motion and a second to approve the settlement of $5,168.62 for case number 22WC 028243.
Roth's motions.
Thank you, Mr.
Strathman,
Roth.
seconds.
Ms. Strathman, seconds.
Okay.
Clerk, please call the roll.
Allen,
I.
Bates,
Bates, yes.
Berman,
Berman, yes.
Doherty,
Yes.
Davis,
Davis, yes.
Ford,
Ford, yes.
Gums,
Gums, yes.
Iqbal,
Iqbal, yes.
Juby,
3
Kenyon,
Yes.
Caius,
Guys, yes.
Leonard,
Leonard, yes.
Lewis, Linder,
Linder, yes.
Molina,
Molina, yes.
Roth,
Roth, yes.
Sanchez,
Sanchez, yes.
Silva,
Silva, yes.
Strathman,
Strathman, yes.
Sturgis, Tarver,
Tarver, yes.
Deppie,
Deppie, yes.
Williams,
Williams, yes.
Young.
Young, yes.
Passes.
Very good. May I please have a motion and a second to approve the settlement in the amount of $17,272.48 for case number 17WC 17581.
Linder moves.
Thank you. Mr.
Sanchez,
Linder.
seconds.
Thank you.
Sanchez.
And call the roll.
Allen,
I.
Bates, Berman,
Berman, yes.
Doherty,
Yes.
Davis,
Davis, yes.
Ford,
Ford, yes.
Gums,
Gums, yes.
Iqbal,
Iqbal, yes.
Juby,
3
Kenyon,
Yes.
Caius,
Guys, yes.
Leonard,
Leonard, yes.
Lewis,
Lewis, yes.
Linder,
Linder, yes.
Molina,
Molina, yes.
Roth,
Roth, yes.
Sanchez,
Sanchez, yes.
Silva,
Silva, yes.
Strathman,
Strathman, yes.
Sturgis, Tarver,
Tarver, yes.
Deppie, yes.
Williams,
Williams, yes.
Young.
Young, yes.
Passes.
Last one. May I please have a motion and a second to approve the settlement in the amount of $9,579.15 for case number 22WC 004959.
Sanchez moves.
Thank you.
1 second.
2 seconds.
Seconds.
Strathman, okay.
Madam Chair.
Yes.
One thing I think that we should mention on that claim is we are leaving medical open.
Oh, and medical open. Thank you so much for that. Absolutely correct. So they will be including open medical.
Okay. Alan,
Alan, I.
Bates,
It's yes.
Berman,
Berman, yes.
Doherty,
Doherty,
Doherty, Davis,
Yes.
Ford,
Ford, yes.
Gums,
Gums, yes.
Iqbal,
Well, yes.
Juby,
Three I.
Kenyon,
Yes.
Caius,
Yes.
Leonard,
Leonard, yes.
Lewis,
Yes.
Linder,
Linda, yes.
Melina,
Molina, yes.
Roth,
Roth, yes.
Sanchez,
Sanchez, yes.
Silva,
Silva, yes.
Strathman,
Yes.
Surges, Carver,
Tarver, yes.
Pepe,
Pepe, yeah.
Williams,
Williams, yes.
Young.
Yes.
It passes.
Very good. All right. Thank you very much. I think we can excuse our attorneys as appropriate. So now it's time for our comments. I'm going to keep my comments just to the agenda because the hour is getting long. We have much to talk about. So the first, once again, is I'd like to congratulate all the hard work that our Department of Transportation continues to do for Kane County. And there's going to be a groundbreaking ceremony on Doberman Road. And I'd like to introduce Jennifer Becker to the podium, and she will share with us the importance of this opening.
Hello, I think Mr. Davis is going to talk about it.
Right. Okay,
In the
we're punting the
hallway, and-
ball.
To hear from you.
Yeah,
You'll
really.
talk too long.
Thought Anna, but she
You
popped
what?
up actually. That's, no, it's, it's good news, folks. It's I don't even read the whole thing. Highly anticipated. This is the Granite Road extension. Gonna have a groundbreaking ceremony. Everybody's invited. I think Carl and Tom nixed my idea of having a keg there, but it'll still be pretty good. So come to the Big Rock Campground. The guys can show you how to get there. 24 million, Tom? 24 million. 2/3 of it, state and federal funds.
Nice.
So this is a very good thing. Please come on out and see us, and we'll get started on the work.
And how much was the federal funds?
I don't know the exact split between the state and federal. Tom can probably.
A third federal, a third state, third local.
Okay.
Okay, very good, very good. Excellent. Important.
Question.
Yes.
About what's the duration of this project? Break ground now, when will we finish?
November of 24, I believe, is the target finish date.
Good, thank you.
All right. So well done on that. Now, I get to do a proclamation. We recognize a number of celebrations and awarenesses of May, and one of them is both Motorcycle Safety Month as well as Bicycle Safety Month. I combined them both because they are both considered two-wheel, or for those people who like a four-wheel or training wheels.
Or three wheels.
Or three.
on a motorcycle.
So we all have their options, but they are the same. They're open vehicles. The proclamation I'm about to read is even more significant in light of a tragic accident that happened in Batavia on Sunday, where a motorcyclist was killed, rear-ended on River Street by a drunken driver. So having awareness of motorcycle safety is critical to all of our well-beings, and something we all need, and bicyclists both, to pay special attention to. And with that, I'll read the proclamation. Will not take me but a minute. Proclaiming the month of May 2023 Motorcycle and Bicycle Awareness Month. Whereas safety is the highest priority for the highways and streets of our county and state, and whereas Kane County is proud to be a regional leader in bicycle and motorcycle safety, education, and awareness. And whereas bicycles and motorcycles are a primary, common, and economical means of transportation, reducing fuel consumption, road wear, and contributes in a significant way to relief of traffic and promotes good health. And whereas it is especially meaningful that the citizens of Kane County Be aware of bicycles and motorcycles on the roadways and recognize the importance of bicycle and motorcycle safety. And whereas the motorcyclists and bicyclists of Illinois have contributed extensively to national and community charitable organizations. And whereas during the month of May, all roadway users should unite in the safe sharing of roadways within the county of Kane and urge all motorists to join to improve safety and awareness on our roadways. Now therefore be it resolved that the Kane County Board Chairman, Corinne M. Pirog, in the great state of Illinois, in recognition of the 36 years of abate of Illinois Incorporated and the 44 years of National Bike Month, and in recognition of the continued role the County of Kane serves as a leader in bicycle and motorcycle safety, education, and awareness, does hereby proclaim the month of May 2023 Motorcycle and Bicycle Awareness Month. So with that proclamation, I think it's something we can all agree upon and the importance of it. And I believe is it coming up? Riding your bicycle to work day? Isn't that coming up in another week or two? Anybody knows?
Carl, he'll tell you.
Oh, well, I will make sure that Ms. Band puts out a flyer on that, and I encourage all of you to get out your bicycle and see if you can ride at least halfway to work. Including myself.
Especially you.
Says the Batavia resident.
Yeah.
Resident.
I did say halfway. All right. I think we also have two other recognitions that I would just like to bring at before we leave the month of May, just informally. It's also Nurses Week. So I'd like to make sure that we recognize all of our nurses who are here in Kane County in our health department. And of course, at all of our hospitals, we have wives, sisters, aunts, relatives, and friends, neighbors who are nurses, including one of my neighbors who works the night shift at Del Nor. And Heroes at Work at our county week as well. So there are many heroes, both in public health as well as public safety, that we have to make sure that we recognize. And if you see one in uniform, make sure you take the time to thank them for all that they do. It's always very important. Our thanks to them are needed and necessary to show our appreciation. All right, next step. We have a couple of ordinances. I believe we no ordinances, but we do have some zoning petitions. We do have an ordinance, my apologies. Wind energy conservation conversion systems. Who's going to be leading that discussion?
I'll start it off.
Okay, thank you.
I like to present, and actually pretty exciting to see this ordinance 23-178, which is amending to the Kane County Code, Chapter 25 zoning ordinance regarding wind energy conversion systems and commercial solar energy facilities in the unincorporated area of Kane County. There is attachment of only about 46 pages that describes this this ordinance. So I'll make the motion to move it.
I would
Williams.
second it.
Okay,
Kenyon.
thank you, Mr. Kenyon. You do have a solar farm indeed.
Madam Chair.
Yes, yes, sir.
Yeah, I have a question about it. I hope someone would explain it to me. This is being rushed to get passed today. Could someone explain it to me what this rush is about? There's a deadline to it. What if we pass it? What if we don't pass it? What are the consequences?
Is Ms. Walnick or Mark is here?
It did go through the channels. This was at our development committee meeting. It just wasn't on exec because it didn't need to be. So, but it did go through the committee.
Development committee for this.
Yeah.
Correct. Yeah. Mark Van Kerkhoff, Director of Development and Community Services. Yeah, this is a rush. It is in response to state public act that was passed earlier this year, which is taking back some of county's authority regarding citing of approvals for wind and solar facilities. They did in their act stipulate certain things that counties can regulate regarding setbacks and screening and those kind of things. They also stipulated that counties needed to adopt these state standards by May 26th of this year, or approval would default to the state. In other words, the county board wouldn't have any site selection authority at all. So I do want to thank our Kane County State's Attorney's Office and Director Wolnick in working cooperatively with other agencies, input from the Illinois Farm Bureau, the Association of County Board Members, all worked very hard together with other counties and to come up with a model ordinance that could be adapted. And so that's what you have before you today. As it's gone through the process, our state's attorney's office has recommended we advise the zoning board and the county board that there may be some tweaks to this as additional state legislation may be updated in the near future as well. If there's other things that we discover, we may be recommending amendments to this, but we do need to get something passed. And this is the best something we have for today. Thank you.
Okay. Madam Chair, yeah, it brings me to the question that we had last year. We had a solar panel plan over here near the courthouse, and I objected on two bases. Number one is the neighbor's right. What are the neighbor's right? And how should we cover it or should we ignore them? And the board ignored it. The second objection that I had was about the amount of insurance coverage that we need from the vendor or the operator, and that was also ignored. And luckily or not luckily, this resolution addresses both of them. It takes 20 pages on solar and 20 pages on the wind, but the requirements are exactly the same. It protects the neighbors, and it requires a very high insurance limit. So I'm happy that it's going on, but at the same time, it gives the board no option. It is there. It is a state act. Okay, so that's what I wanted to say.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Any other comments on this? No? Righty. Do we need to call roll on this? We'll call the roll.
Okay, roll call. Ellen.
Alan, aye.
Bates.
Bates, yes.
Berman.
Berman, yes.
Doherty.
Yes.
Davis.
Yes.
Ford.
Yes.
Gums.
Gums, yes.
Iqbal.
Iqbal, yes.
Juby.
GBI.
Kenyon.
Yes.
Caius.
Nice, yes.
Leonard.
Leonard, yes.
Lewis.
Yes.
Linder.
Linder, yes.
Molina.
Molina, yes.
Roth. Sanchez.
Sanchez, yes.
Silva.
Silva, yes.
Strathman.
Huffman, yes.
Surges. Tarver.
Tarver, yes.
Debbie.
Debbie.
Williams.
Williams, yes.
Young.
Young, yes.
That passes.
Okay, very good. We're now on to new business. I have some new business that I would like to discuss, but does anybody else have anything? No. We had a question from a board member regarding the Open Meetings Act, which starts on the 11th. The question is, does it start at 11:59 on the 10th, going on to midnight of the 11th, or does it start at 11:59 on the 11th, going into the 12th?
Our reading is that the disaster proclamation put the requirements through that Thursday, which means when it's ending on Thursday, it'll begin on Friday. So our advice is that we're able to stay within the proclamation for Thursday, Friday at 12 o'clock. We are back to normal.
All right, very good. And could you explain also, just for the board one more time, and then I'd also like to know about staff, if they are also required to attend, or can they Zoom in? So if, I believe, what are the arrangements that somebody can ask for permission to Zoom in, to fully participate in their committee and to potentially take a vote?
There are 3 reasons in which a board member would be allowed to appear remotely for the purposes of any committee meeting or board meeting. The first is that the member cannot attend because of personal illness or disability. Or 2, the member cannot attend because of employment purposes or the business of the county board. Or 3, the member cannot attend because of a family or other emergency. At the beginning of any meeting, the chair should announce any request by any person to appear remotely. If no one objects, then they're allowed to participate remotely. What I would highly recommend is that board member reach out to the chair, either of the board meeting or the chair of the committee, to talk to them in advance so that we're not discussing any really private information openly in that way. And that is how we should proceed come Friday.
All right, so. And then employees.
I have a question.
Oh, yes, hold on, let's finish this one completely. Yes, Ms. Chuby.
Am I correct in assuming that anyone can attend remotely and not vote? If so anyone can attend remotely to the meeting. If a board member wishes to attend remotely and to vote, they need to follow those 3 things, and staff is excluded because they do not vote, correct?
Correct.
Thank you.
Madam Chair.
Okay, we've got many questions. Yes.
Ms. Caius?
Yes,
just-
Mr. Caius.
Just to clarify, for the objection, if anyone on the committee objects, it's to be brought out in the open. And if anybody on the committee objects, then they're not allowed in.
So the problem is we don't have a significant amount of guidance with this. So for example, if somebody has given one of the 3 valid reasons and the chair brings that up and then somebody objects to it, we are working to see what the next step would be. If that person then, that objection, whether or not it's founded or not founded, stands. So that's something that we're looking into with the civil division. I believe that the chair should be the one who's advising the county board members whether or not it falls one under those 3 categories.
Excuse me, I think we had an ordinance passed in March that said it had to be a 2/3 majority to allow someone in, which I question because that is way more than what the Open Meetings Act asks, but it was whatever we voted on in March.
Yes.
So we have that as our ordinance, which means that it stands if 2/3 of the, if only one person objects and the vote isn't 2/3, then that person can attend. So I don't know what clarification we're looking for because we already have that as an ordinance.
So I'm going to look into that because I do recall we did pass that in anticipation of this, which again is different from what the requirement is. I will send out a memo to everybody prior to Friday.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
That would be great. Yes, Ms. Strathman.
I have a question, Strathman here. If we're not on the committee, we can attend remotely. Are we allowed to ask questions? Because I couldn't find that in the directions.
Could we have
Well,
clarification
you
on
wouldn't
that?
vote anyway because you're not on the committee, but you are allowed to ask a question.
Yes.
Okay, great. Thank you. Oh, everybody but me. Oh.
There are exceptions.
Yes, okay.
So let's just, and Mr. Linder, I just want to clarify. So as we go through all this, we're short. So you have the 3 qualifications. We know it's going to start on Friday, let's say the 12th. Okay, so it's sunsetting on the 11th. We know that if you have a particular one of those 3 reasons, you should be calling up the chair of that specific committee slightly ahead of time so that they are aware of it. And you can have that private conversation or just let them know what the reason is. The chair of that committee will bring your request forward to that committee for their approval to allow you in. What else? And then staff, I haven't forgotten about the staff. If you are not a voting member of that committee, but you would like to join the discussion, you are allowed in and you don't need to have a rationale why. You can just join. Is there anything else that we've discussed?
Just one more clarification, Roth here. If they're voted that they're not allowed in to vote, they're still allowed in to talk, right? And listen.
They can.
Like anybody else.
I'm just making sure we clarify.
Yes.
Right.
Okay.
And
Yes.
Bates, so I'm still not understanding
who, does it take a vote to object? Does it take one objector? Does it take 2/3? That's what you have to
And
get
I
back.
think
That
to?
is what I'm going to send via memo to all of you
That'll be
prior
great.
to Friday, given the ordinance that we had passed in March.
And Mr. Linder, who seems to have great expertise in this, we'll use him as our board guide.
Ms. Musser didn't mention anything about the quorum requirement. And both, I'm sorry, Ms. Musser didn't mention anything about the quorum requirement. Both the statute and our ordinance say that there needs to be a quorum of the board or the committee in the room in order for a meeting to proceed with remote attendees. Am I?
That's correct. So if the quorum is made because of people in the room and online, that would not count. It would have to be people physically present in this room.
And a quorum is made up of 50% plus one.
Yes.
Madam Chair.
Yes, yes, sir.
Yeah, I just want to emphasize this thing that the quorum would be a problem for a couple of committees. It has been there previously before COVID, and it would be there again because some committees would not get 4 people present in the room. And that's normal, and minutes are not approved every month. They get approved whenever the quorum is there.
So nothing can be voted upon. Discussion can happen, but there would be no votes, no action taken.
Yeah.
State requirement.
All right, is everybody clear on this? Now, obviously, we're all professionals. If you feel, for whatever your reason is that you are not able to attend, and you would like to participate after the 12th, I mean, obviously, there's full trust. If you were elected to represent yourself appropriately with ethics. So please, we'll all guide ourselves on that effort. Yes, sir.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Sanchez here. Just real quick, looking at the ordinance, as long as all the due process is followed, the presiding member of the committee or board announces that they'll be remote. And if there is any objections, a motion must be made then to object. Otherwise, the person is assumed to be present and in quorum.
Okay.
And a 2/3 override would be needed. Yeah.
Okay.
No need to have a memo then. Thank you, Mr. Sanchez.
Now, if we could have a cheat sheet, that would be helpful.
Send it off, but I just figured
Right.
while we're all thinking of it.
I appreciated the effort, but yes, we'll still do a cheat sheet for that.
Cheat sheet is good. And everyone, before, ladies, gentlemen, does everybody have the email and the phone number that you need to call?
Yeah.
And you all have the either a phone number and or the email of your chair of your committee?
Doesn't say that.
I'm just checking. If you don't, make sure that you get those and you can have those sent to you or given to you at the board office. Okay, okay, that's my new business. They're all on the same page with that now. Now we have some fun appointments, and thank goodness for our volunteers. Mr. Van Kerkhoff, I'll bring you up.
Good day again, Ms. Mark Van Kerkhoff, Director of Development and Community Services. I work with the county board office and our local fire districts on their appointments for trustees. Before you this morning, a resolution reappointing 2 existing trustees to the South Elgin Countryside Fire Protection District. They have both served well and have recommended by the chief, fire chief for the district. So happy to answer any questions. Otherwise, I recommend that you approve these appointments. I will note, some of you may be aware, there was a recent passing of the trustee, head of the trustee board, which created a vacancy on this trustee board as well. We are accepting applications for that vacancy, and that will be considered by a separate resolution in the future.
Very good, thank you. Are there any questions? If hearing none, clerk, please call the roll.
2379.
Ellen,
aye.
Bates,
Yes.
Berman,
Yes.
Doherty,
yes.
Davis,
Davis, yes.
Ford,
Board, yes.
Gums,
Yes.
Iqbal,
Iqbal, yes.
Zuby,
Yes.
Kenyon,
Yes.
Caius,
Yes, yes.
Leonard,
Yes.
Lewis,
Yes.
Linder,
Linder, yes.
Lena,
Molina, yes.
Roth,
Roth, yes.
Sanchez,
Sanchez, yes.
Silva,
Silver, yes.
Strathman. Strathman,
Yes.
Surges, Tarver,
Tarver, yes.
Debbie,
Happy, yes.
Williams,
Williams, yes.
Young.
Young, yes.
Okay, very good. Our next one is Mill Creek, and I'll bring up Mr. Fonstock.
Is it still morning? Okay, good morning. Roger Fonstock with IT and Building Management. We had been soliciting people or candidates for the Mill Creek Special Service Advisory Board. It's a advisory board that handles the SSA area of Mill Creek as far as the maintenance of certain special service areas. The advisory board itself is there to make recommendations about the spending of their tax levy. They're self-funded. And it's also there to make recommendations about the budget that they have for the SSA. The SSA itself has about $900,000 annually in revenue, and that revenue is primarily used to maintain the SSA open spaces within that, and includes landscape and snow removal and some minor pavement in the Central Village district area. So what we have today are reappointments of the 5 present members. They all volunteered to stay on board. So you have Thomas Zobitz, who's the chairman of the advisory body. Then you have Barry or Baron Studeman, who's the vice chair of the advisory body. Then you have Heidi Urbellis, Mark Neville, and Mark should actually be.
That's Mary.
It's Mary, should be Mary Kobeman, the last name of the reappointment. So those are the 5 reappointments, and we're asking for their 2-year term expiring May 8th, 2025. Then we had about 6 candidates apply for the new vacancies to have 8 SSA advisory body members. Of those 6, we had 1 person withdraw their name, and then we had 3 recommended, which were Phil Morris, Terry Wankat, and Mike Ulasik. And we're recommending them for a 2-year term expiring May 8th, 2025. So that will give us a Mill Creek Advisory Board body of 8. And these are all residents or business owners within Mill Creek. So that's one of the requirements. And we're recommending approval of all 8.
Thank you.
Guys, would.
Yes, Mr. Caius, you'd like to
I
move
move.
this?
Williams seconds.
Williams second, yes, please. Are there any questions?
Just one, just
Mhm.
for, again, I'm fairly on the,
Mr. Caius, yes.
this is Caius. This is actually the Mill Creek SSA advisory body. Is that
Yes,
correct?
sir.
As opposed
It should be advisory body according to the ordinance. And I know the actual paperwork says board, and then also Mark Kobeman is supposed to be Mary Kobeman. I don't know where they had that.
So with those Scribner's errors
We have
corrected, I,
2. One is body and the other one is Mary.
Mary.
Yes.
Seconded as corrected.
Okay, thank you, thank you. All right, with that, clerk, please call the roll.
Ellen,
Allen, I.
Bates,
Bates, yes.
Berman,
Berman, yes.
Doherty,
Yes.
Davis,
Davis, yes.
Ford,
Board, yes.
Gums,
Gums, yes.
Iqbal, yes.
Juby,
I.
Kenyon,
Yes.
Caius,
Caius, yes.
Leonard,
Leonard, yes.
Lewis,
Lewis, yes.
Linder,
Yes.
Molina,
Molina, yes.
Roth,
Roth, yes.
Sanchez,
Sanchez, yes.
Silva,
Silver, yes.
Strathman,
Strathman, yes.
Surges, Tarver,
Tarver, yes.
Tepe,
Happy, yes.
Williams,
Williams, yes.
Young.
Young, yes.
Okay, very good. One more. This is our Public Aid Committee appointments. I'd like to bring up Mr. Shepro, who helped me work my way around this very rare committee.
The Public Aid Committee is a special committee of the board under the rules of order. It's not a standing committee.
It has the purpose by statute of hearing appeals from denials of township assistance by a township board. I believe it has not met since the spring of 2020. So it is necessary to have the committee reconstituted by statute. It is to be made up of alternates and members and alternates from the various supervisors of Kane County, chaired by the chair of the Kane County Board. The chair is authorized to designate a board member to act in her place if that so occasioned. So you have before, and also a somewhat ambiguous provision that the committee can have no more than 3 members from the same political party. That is a somewhat interesting question because at the township level, many of the townships do not have established political parties that are county-wide established political parties. They have local township political parties. However, the proposed names all would comply with whatever interpretation you want to put on, whether you look at a general primary voting record or the name of the political party. And many of the supervisors are independents, elected as independents. So in any case, I believe all of the nominees have been contacted. 2 of the people requested that they be considered as alternates rather than principals. And I did not see who was the board member who.
Anita Lewis.
Anita.
Right. So, that's it. Would require advice and consent by the board.
Yes.
Rother, I had a question. It's showing 6 different townships.
I think we could, before we have the discussion, can we?
Okay,
move
sorry.
this forward?
Sanchez moves.
Thank you. Thank you.
Rother second it.
Thank you. All right.
So this is just a clarification question. It's showing 6 different townships. How many townships are in the county?
15. I believe 15.
Okay. So do they alternate different townships every few years?
Well, that would be up to the chair to appoint board members. I would note that in 2 of the cases, the supervisors pointed out that their townships are so small that they actually outsource the assistance program and therefore don't have any experience with dealing with that. The statute does require that at least 1 member of the board have what is rather vaguely defined as experience in the township assistance program. It would appear that the supervisors in Elgin, St. Charles, and Aurora all have that experience, as does the alternate from Dundee Township.
Okay.
Otherwise, I believe the state sends someone to help you.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Shepherd.
Thank you.
I think as we're taking a look at what townships might be appropriate, I always like to reach out to townships that are not always represented, meaning those townships right along the Fox River with population. I think going out to the west is very important to make sure that they have a seat at our table as well. So I'll always look to them and try to change things up a little bit. And I would like to thank Ms. Lewis. I went down all of your names, and I kept on going back to you. So thank you so much for agreeing to do this. I think you'll find it to be an important position for you to have to chair this, very meaningful. Any other discussion? Clerk, please call the roll.
Ellen,
Allen, aye.
Bates,
Yes.
Berman,
Yes.
Doherty,
Yes.
Gavest,
Yes.
Ford,
Yes.
Gums,
Comes, yes.
Iqbal,
Iqbal, yes.
Juby,
Aye.
Kenyon,
Yes.
Caius,
Yes.
Leonard, yes.
Lewis, Linder,
Linder, yes.
Molina,
Molina, yes.
Roth,
Roth, yes.
Sanchez,
Sanchez, yes.
Silva,
Silva, yes.
Strathman,
Strathman, yes.
Sturgis, Tarver,
Tarver, yes.
Tepe,
Tepe, yes.
Williams,
Williams, yes.
Young.
Yes.
Passes.
Very good. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Shepro. Are there any committee updates? None. All right, very good. Okay, finally.
Are we all done now?
No.
Then how quick you'd like to get through all of the resolutions? We're going on to a consent agenda. Would anybody like to remove an item from the consent agenda? Yes, Mr. Tepe.
I'd like to remove item 23-206. What?
Write it down. Bates, I think you had your hand up.
No, ma'am.
Okay. Yes, Mr. Surgeon.
23-185.
Yes, Mr. Williams.
-208.
No. No.
Killing me, dude. You're killing me.
Not guilty.
Did that.
Yeah, Cliff.
Not me.
187,
Hold on. Yes, yes, please.
23-187.
187?
Yes.
I gotta get that right soon.
Yeah, I know, me too.
185. 462.
God bless you. Yes, Mr. Iqbal.
One,
There's one.
Pardon me? Pardon me, Mo?
23-201 and 23-207. That's already been done.
Order lunch.
You're gonna have to start buying lunch if you're doing this to us.
Anybody else?
23-181.
Oh, okay.
Wow.
May I have a motion and a second to approve the following consent agenda? But not items number 23-181, 23-185, 23-187, 23-201, 23-206, 23-207, 23-208. That's it.
Rose.
Thank you, Mr. Downs. For a second. Call the roll.
Ellen,
Alan, I.
Bates,
It's yes.
Berman,
Berman, yes.
Doherty, Davis,
Yes.
Ford. Mr. Ford, we can, okay, thank you. Gums,
Gums, yes.
Iqbal,
Iqbal, yes.
Juby,
I.
Kenyon,
Yes.
Caius,
Yes.
Leonard,
Leonard, yes.
Lewis,
Yes.
Linder, Molina,
Molina, yes.
Roth,
Roth, yes.
Sanchez,
Sanchez, yes.
Silva,
Silva, yes.
Strathman,
Strathman, yes.
Sturgis,
Yes.
Tarver,
Tarver, yes.
Tepe,
Tepe, yes.
Williams, Young.
Young, yes.
Passes.
May I please have a motion and a second to potentially approve item number 23-181?
Sanchez moves.
Young,
Yeah, it's been a letter.
I'm sorry.
Mr. Young. Yes, Mr. Young.
I just had a question about this one. You're looking at the log of from Ernst and Young. There is a category for mass vaccination. I just wanted to understand what that was. There's like tens of thousands of dollars of hours billed due to mass vaccination back in December, and to my knowledge, I mean, there weren't that many people getting vaccines just a couple of months ago. So I have a question about what that category is.
Mr. Sanchez?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Yeah, Dave, before you came on, we had already paid for mass vaccination at the Batavia hub with ARPA money. It was eligible expense for ARPA money. As some time went on, the FEMA grant came on our radar, and we decided to go after that. And the primary eligible expense for the FEMA grant was the vaccination center. So it's already been paid for with ARPA. We decided to go after FEMA. So we took the money out of ARPA, paid for it with county funds so that it could be eligible for FEMA. And then we are now seeking reimbursement from FEMA, which we will get. And what you're seeing before you is just the amount of work in dollars that needed to be done to process that FEMA grant, which is a very high level of detail, kind of federal grant, more than ARPA even. So yeah, that's all that it is. There wasn't any vaccination services being performed at this time. It's the grant seeking.
The processing of a grant that takes all that time to do
Yes.
that.
Yes.
Okay.
For FEMA, it does.
Wow. All right. Well, that was my
You
question.
know,
Thank
but
you.
anybody there that can simplify things for us, that would be great.
No.
Federal grants are incredibly complicated.
Okay.
State grants are hard. Federal are, you need a PhD, several of them in electric engineering.
Really? Okay. Well, that was my question. So thank you.
And just clarification on this before I call the roll. Not only for Batavia, does that also include the other mass vac sites that we had in Elgin and then Carpentersville?
Correct.
Okay, I thought so. Thank you.
Aurora.
And Aurora was brief but mighty. Good. All right, clerk, please call the roll.
All right, the roll. Ellen.
Alan, I.
Bates.
Great, yes.
Berman.
Berman, yes.
Doherty.
Okay.
I'm sorry, repeat.
Yes.
Thank you. Davis.
Yes.
Ford.
Ford, yes.
Gums.
Comes, yes.
Iqbal.
Iqbal, yes.
Chuby.
Aye.
Kenyon.
Yes.
Caius.
Yes.
Leonard.
Leonard, yes.
Lewis.
Yes.
Linder.
Linder, yes.
Lena.
Molina, yes.
Roth.
Roth, yes.
Sanchez.
Sanchez, yes.
Silva.
Silva, yes.
Strathman.
And yes.
Surges.
Surges, yes.
Tarver.
Tarver, yes.
Pepe.
Tempe, yes.
I'm sorry.
Tempe, yes.
Williams.
Williams, yes.
Young.
Young, yes.
Passes. Okay.
May I please now have a motion and a second to approve item number 23-185?
Surges moves.
It's second.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Surges.
Madam Chair, I pulled this from the consent agenda. I believe there was a gentleman who spoke under public comments that was making some pretty broad brushed comments regarding this. Those, I don't believe that those comments were consistent with the way the circuit clerk had brought those forward. And I just want to make sure that for the record, we set that straight before we voted on it.
All right, well, let's set it straight then, yes.
Thank you, Madam Chair. To piggyback on Mr. Surges's comments, I asked at either the ARPA or Finance Committee about that 265,000. And it was explained to me that was for one or more than one expungement clerk over about a 3-year period. So it's not 265,000 for one person for 1 year. And they don't think that they'll reach that amount. So if there is any money left over, that will go back to ARPA.
Madam Chair.
Yes.
I just want to say how important this expungement project is, but from the circuit clerk's office, and that it's important work and we need to fund it.
Correct, correct. Yes, sir.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Sanchez here, and I should just mention that the estimated base pay, including benefits for this position, is somewhere around $57,000 to $58,000. So again, just in line with what Mr. Surges said, Mr. Leonard.
Yeah, Madam Chair, Surges, Jared, that's what I remember, that this was not a extremely highly paid, nowhere near six-figure person. And I believe that the statements that were being made in the audience was that this person was the highest paid, would become the highest paid employee. That is certainly not the case in any way, shape, or form. And that is the only reason why I pulled this. But I personally struggle with this a bit, saying that the notion that we're expunging something and the situation that's been thrown to me is that marijuana is now legal. But had you used marijuana when it was illegal, we're now asking that to be expunged because it is now legalized. My comment is, you knew it was wrong when you did it and you still did it. Why are we expunging it now?
Okay.
So just to not add to the discussion, but
That's your personal view.
that's my personal feeling.
Personal view. Thank you. We've got, hold on a sec. State's Attorney Mosser, please.
I just want you to know, Mr. Surges, it's a mandate in the law that they have to be expunged. So the circuit clerk's office has to do it because there's a requirement, and we're actually beyond the time of what we're supposed to be able to. The law requires us now that if it was a misdemeanor amount of cannabis, that it shall be expunged. Now, there are certain exceptions if it was charged with a crime of violence or a felony or something like that. But this is a mandate that has been in place for a long time, so they don't have a choice.
Mandate, it doesn't mean I like it. It's
We all have our personal opinions. Mr. Roth?
Personal opinion. Rother, I agreed with Mr. Sanchez's, the details, but the details weren't shown in the resolution. Can we add that or can we use the minutes here as documenting that? Because that's where the confusion came from, right? So I'd like it to be part of the record, your explanation, which was in ARPA.
It will. It will
Okay,
be.
that's all. Thank you.
And I think, no. All right, hearing nothing else, clerk, please call the roll.
Ellen.
Alan, I.
Bates.
Bates, yes.
Berman.
Berman, yes.
Doherty.
Yes.
Davis.
That was yes.
Ford.
Or yes.
Gums.
Gums, yes.
Iqbal.
Iqbal, yes.
Chuby.
To be I.
Kenyon.
Yes.
Caius.
Yes.
Leonard.
Leonard, yes.
Lewis.
Lewis, yes.
Linder. Backett. Molina.
Molina, yes.
Roth.
Roth, yes.
Sanchez.
Sanchez, yes.
Silva.
Silva, yes.
Strathman.
Strathman, yes.
Surges.
Burgess, yes.
Tarver.
Tarver, yes.
Pepe.
Pepe, yes.
Williams.
Williams, yes.
Young.
Young, yes.
That passes.
Very good. May I have a motion and a second to approve ordinance number 23-187? Thank you, Mr. Ford.
Young will second.
Thank you. And thank you, Mr. Young. And Mr. Young, please.
I had a question about this. There are 3 properties on Boyer Road that are having issues with flooding because the drain tiles have failed. Probably there was a farm field at one time and those drain tiles failed. And then what I like about this is that it's actually it's a 0%. From what I could read, it's a 0 interest loan that Kane County is going to have, and they're going to tax those residences so they don't have to put the money out on their own, which I find to be very helpful. My question is are these 3 properties the only 3 properties affected by the flooding over there? And are these the only 3 properties that will be taxed? Or are there going to be other neighbors that have to pay for this as well? So in other words, are there like
10 other properties that are going to be funding these 3 residences, or are these 3 residences going to be funding it themselves?
Just restricted to those 3, Ms. Walnick?
It's only the 3 residents that are listed in the SSA. Those are the 3 impacted residents, as well as the 3 residents upon which the construction will occur. There was downstream improvements that were under the jurisdiction of a property owner through Pelote, and Pelote has themselves repaired the downstream issues.
Thank you.
Are there any other questions? Clerk, please call the roll.
Allen,
Alan.
Bates,
It's yes.
Berman,
Berman, yes.
Doherty,
Yes.
Davis,
Yes.
Ford,
Ford, yes.
Gums,
Comes, yes.
Iqbal,
Iqbal, yes.
Kenyon, I'm sorry, Juby,
Juby,
Kenyon,
Yes.
Caius,
Yes.
Leonard,
Leonard, yes.
Lewis,
Lewis, yes.
Linder,
Linda, yes.
Molina,
Molina, yes.
Roth,
Roth, yes.
Sanchez,
Sanchez, yes.
Silva,
Silva, yes.
Strathman,
Strathman, yes.
Sturgis,
Sturgis, yes.
Tarver,
Tarver, yes.
Tepe,
Deppie, yes.
Williams,
Yes.
Young.
Yes.
Passes. All SSAs are a wonderful opportunity for our residents to make improvement. May I have a motion and a second to approve item number 23-201?
Bates moves.
Caius would second.
Thank you, Mr. Iqbal.
Madam Chair, I have a question on this. Particularly, Mr. Roger Fonstock is here. He could probably answer my question. It is, how many licenses are there? And who is using them? And this for e-document, who is on the other side? Who are they communicating with?
This is Roger Fonstock from the IT and Building Management. There's approximately 100 licenses that are in use, and they get a pool of what they call envelopes. And an envelope could be 1 to many partners signing an envelope, just like any contract or any agreement. So I think we get 300 envelopes per user account. So there's 30,000 envelopes that get processed as a base license, and then you can add additional to that. The 100 licenses are being used by the state's attorney, public defender, and various departments. The IT and building management department use them, as well as some of the other departments are starting to use them. We're trying to encourage the use of this. This was something that started during the COVID pandemic, and we went out and tried out a couple different signing projects, products, got quotes, and then we competitively selected DocuSign as a group through the judiciary, and that's been something that we've been continuing. I think last year we used somewhere in the 90+% of the actual envelopes, which means that we had anywhere from 1 to 3, or an average of, let's say, 2 signatures. So we collected 60 to 70,000 signatures electronically with nobody coming into the offices or coming in to visit with the attorneys or with staff. They did it remotely. I think that those are the kinds of numbers that we're looking to use and encourage and continue this process. It's been well adopted. We have a lot of people that only sign documents electronically now and don't ask the public to come in to sign them. So I don't know if that answers all your question, but that's what we're trying to do with it.
Okay. The second question, we have the Adobe also, and that allows you to sign.
Yeah, we looked
Certify.
at Adobe, and we looked at I think it's EchoSign and DocuSign. We looked at all 3 of them, and the group collectively recommended DocuSign over the others. They all come with a similar type of fee structure for doing the signing, and I think the only issue was the ease of use and integration with other systems that we were trying to do. That we used to do Adobe, and the group collectively decided to move to DocuSign. I think primarily just ease of use and licensing that they had.
I see. Okay, thank you.
Anecdotally, I'm very familiar with DocuSign. I've used it for many years. It's efficient, it's effective. And it actually, it's very environmentally friendly because you don't have to travel to sign a document.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much. Clerk, please call the roll.
Ellen,
Alan, I.
Bates,
Bates, Bates, yes.
Berman,
Berman, yes.
Doherty,
Yes.
Davis,
Yes.
Ford,
Ford, yes.
Gums,
Gums, yes.
Iqbal,
Paul, yes.
Chuby,
Yes.
Kenyon,
Yes.
Caius,
Yes.
Leonard,
Leonard, yes.
Lewis,
Those, yes.
Linder,
Linder, yes.
Molina,
Molina, yes.
Roth,
Roth, yes.
Sanchez,
Sanchez, yes.
Silva,
Silva, yes.
Strathman,
Rathman, yes.
Surges,
Burgess, yes.
Tarver,
Tarver, yes.
Pepe,
Cheppy, yes.
Williams,
Williams, yes.
Young.
Young, yes.
Passes.
Okay, very good. Now, may I please have a motion and a second to discuss and possibly approve item number 23-206?
Bates moves.
Thank you. Ms.
Caius
Bates.
would second.
Thank you, Mr. Mr. Tepe.
Thank you, Madam Chair. First off, I want to say that I have absolutely no concern about us hiring a lobbyist, and I definitely believe that we need one. Okay. And second, I really don't care who the lobbyist firm is. All right. So I want to put that on record. But my concern is that, in my opinion, there's no plan associated with the details of how this would be impacted. It bothers me that there's no staff associated with this committee and no staff associated with making this happen. I think that's a key mistake, and that we should have staff assigned to do it. And the second thing that has me concerned is that a lot of the funding is coming from other elected officials. Okay, and I find it difficult for us to have a situation where these officials are going to be not only continuing to use this same lobbyist firm, but I find it difficult that any of these officials would come and ask for permission or want to ask for permission. So how is that going to be involved? So in my opinion, there needs to be a plan and cooperation. I truly have not seen that. So those are my concerns with this particular issue. Thank you.
Any other? Yes.
Berman, I'm concerned about the dollar amount. I feel it's too much.
Yes, Ms. Bates.
I would like to speak to Bates, please. In terms of the plan, I think we've been planning about this for a very long time. And there has been talk about our need for a liaison to the lobbyist. This would add, for people who are concerned about the dollar amount, this would add another salary, probably $100,000 or so to the project. I believe that the liaison to the lobbyist has already been established through the legislative committee, the directors of our divisions, all board members, especially the chairpersons of our standing committees. So I believe that there are many of us ready and eager to take on the role of working with this lobbyist. We know that the money is out there and that we're missing out on opportunities from everything from the Climate and Equitable Jobs Act here in Illinois, a $9.5 billion bill that we need to be understanding better and reaching out, and whoever does the work first is going to get that money. And I want Kane County to be there, understanding when DCEO releases the money. These are opportunities that we can't let get past us in months or maybe even a year to do more planning. Our legislators are begging us to have lobbyists in place. Actually, they were begging us months ago. But this is to help them understand some of these bills, to understand our priorities and our needs. And and in terms of the dollar amount, well, I think funding from all of the elected officials is a positive because we'd be cooperating inside of Kane County. We'd be breaking down some of the silos that exist between the sheriff's office, the state's attorney, county board, and other entities. So I think that's a positive. In terms of the money, the dollar amount, last time we discussed this in executive, I used the example of our public information officer, PIO. I believe her salary, as I recall, is about $120,000. That's what I remember. It's about that much. So when we look at hiring an entire firm of lobbyists that are represented in Chicago and Washington, DC and Springfield for approximately that same amount, I know it's a lot of money. I mean, I was shocked as heck when we heard of an information officer for that much money. I'm behind the times for what professional services cost. I think this is a good deal. I think it has been vetted thoroughly by the legislative committee, especially the chairs of the legislative committee. I think it's important, and let's go for it.
Mr.
Caius,
I'm sorry.
just a couple, three things. One is we've seen just with the lobbyists we've had so far, what kind of return we can get on it. So I think the argument that it's too much is a kind of a moot point. We expect to get much more in return than we're going to be investing in the salary of whoever we hire, whether it's a cheaper one or more expensive one. I mean, there is a limit somewhere, but I don't believe we go well over $120,000. Secondly, it was vetted by the committee. The committee had a procedure to get it through, and this was the recommendation of the majority of the committee members. If we go by our committee system, we have to have some pretty good arguments. They spent a lot of time putting this before us and vetting what they saw of the applicants that made the application. And third, to your point again, that one that you made, Mavis, was that having the sheriff and everybody contribute on it. 4 years ago, we wouldn't get nobody to do anything together at one point. I guess with the county government, I see that having us all together, this is the way to go, I think. So I'm going to vote in favor of it. Can't afford to wait.
Mr. Roth here. I agree with Mr. Teppe's concern, but I think it's a whole nother topic we need to address probably as quick as possible. I think the lobbyists that whoever we hire can help us develop that. I don't think they should be reporting to anyone on the board. I think it needs to be a staff person because one, our job is oversight and, checking, not running day-to-day operations, which is what that would require. I would recommend it. And it doesn't really matter to me what department. I think it'd be a good to start in finance, a neutral party, because then you're not having the sheriff department. Well, I spent this much, so I want this much time. I mean, and like Mr. Caius said, it's a simple return on investment. If we're not getting a 10-to-1 return on investment, then that lobbyist needs to go out and we need to get a new one, right? Because there is a lot of government money. So I would recommend we pass this, but with the understanding we address how we're going to do the operation of it, because it's silly if we don't do that. I think we're going to miss a lot of opportunities and also maybe stumble.
Madam Chair, thank you, Ford. In past history, I've not been one who always been in favor of a lobbyist. But one thing I've known about in the past too is the times that we've talked about having different elected officials work together. And this is one of those times. And therefore it is something that we really should take in consideration. Also, we'll always look to our state's attorney's office and make sure that we're on the right track. And that still stands with this procedure. So I don't know how that's can be such a big concern about who they answer to. And everything will be reviewed and looked at by us and others in finance. And so the procedure can really be focused down to just a few parts to it. So therefore, I'm in favor of this opportunity. And then when you talk about trying to reach at the federal level with everything that's going on, we got to see, and I think it was mentioned before at our executive meeting, what is the unknown? And the unknown is something we got to look for. If we want changes to the county, we're talking about trying to develop a development, economic development issues and concerns in a group. this can help us with that, which can be looked at bringing millions of dollars to the county that we're missing out on.
Mr. Iqbal?
Yeah, Madam Chair, I concur with Mr. Tippy on everything that he said. Further, I want to add that we are member of 2 associations in Springfield, for which we pay $23,000 a year, and they represent most of the counties. And any and all matter that we have through the state, we can go through them, and we are going through them. So I think there is no need for duplication. Number one, the state level, the federal level, I don't know, but the grants are advertised, very well advertised. If we have somebody looking at it from the staff, like personal information officer that we have, she could simply look at the CFRs and give us an update. On the contribution part coming from the different elected officials, that is concerning. What we do, according to the statute, the board levies the tax and distributes it to the elected official based on their reasonable expenses. Now we are getting the money back in the other way with the string attached that if we hire this lobbyist, they will give us the money. I think that is wrong. It should be considered.
Yes, thank you. Mr. Linder?
Well, 2 points. While Mr. Hickbaugh is correct, we do belong to a couple of associations that lobby for counties. They don't lobby for one county versus another in competitive situations. And most of those things we're talking about are competitive. It's not like everybody's going to get $17.5 million. Secondly, to my knowledge, and I'm intimately interested in this, I don't think that there was any coercion or standard put on by the state's attorney and the sheriff as to which lobbyist was hired. The committee came up with a recommendation and asked the elected officers if they could join us in this contract so it would be affordable. But there was no coercion to select a particular firm. There's no basis for that at all.
That I would
Madam
concur.
Chair, Gums?
That I would concur. If I may, both the sheriff and state's attorney and Mr. Russell said that they would agree to whomever the board approved. So that is indeed the case. Yes, Ms. Combs.
Thank you very much. As you know, I've spent a lot of time going over your questions and concerns. So as far as the money, I would just like to make a couple of points. It is a lot of money. But I wanted to remind you that when we hired our lobbyist last time, it was for a limited period of time. So we did spend about $40,000 for a period of about 4 months. So yes, it is a lot of money for $120,000 for a 12-month period. So I just wanted to address that issue. Secondarily, it is budgeted for, so we do have that money. And there was a question that came up in executive as far as it being adjusted. In reference to that, I did reach out to finance and was given instruction from finance as to how to make that revision happen and processed accordingly. So with that recommendation, today you have before you that budget adjustment included with the handout that you were given.
Does everybody have a copy of that handout? Yes.
Yeah, everybody should have. And that was something that everybody asked for an executive. So through finance, they did that for us. I also just wanted to touch base before we get into that part about our electeds, and maybe Ms. Mosser could speak on to, I mean, since you are here. They are aware that the monies that they are putting forth are going into a pot, and that all of the county is going to be utilizing the services. Maybe you could speak a little bit more on that than I can.
Thank you, Ms. Gomes. When this was brought to our attention, it was through the legislative committee. Both Sheriff Hain, Mr. Russell, and then me were approached to see if we wanted to be a part of this. All three of us made it clear that we would go along with whomever the county board decided we should go, because we wanted to be good partners in regards to this. We also knew that there would need to be funds from our budget provided to be a part of this. And so we all willingly did that, with the sheriff obviously giving a lion's share of all of that. From that perspective, we all three of us need a lobbyist for our own issues within our own departments, our own offices, along with what we've seen this county board needs. Right now, I am dealing with a lot of legislation that will come down that will be again unfunded, and having a person who is in Springfield and in Washington is vital for all of us. I'm supposed to be on a call around now because I am hired somebody temporarily as a lobbyist, because I need people to understand what our positions are. One of those mandates would include having a court-appointed attorney for every single child within our abuse and neglect system. That would be on top of what we already have for CASA and on top of what we have as a GAL attorney, and that would be a county mandate. So from our perspective, we three electeds would like to be good stewards of our county money. We would like to assist in any way, but we are willing to go along with whomever this county board chooses as the lobbyist, and then we will obviously utilize them in a fair way amongst everyone else within the county board, because the success of the county board means the success of the state's attorney, the sheriff, and the coroner. And I am definitely available for any questions should you have any.
I did have one follow-up to that. One thing I forgot to mention as well is another issue I wanted to address was the structure. Mr. Sturgis had questioned about previous meeting. Purchasing is currently working on those little details. That all happens with the contract in negotiating that. I was told I had a conversation with them. So I did follow up with all of your concerns in executive, and those are being handled as we speak.
Can we vote? Any other? I understand. I've got two things I'd like to share. I'm trying to be, you all know my opinion on this, but I want to just share two conversations I had that were non-solicited. And please, they were non-solicited. They were at free will. Then they both happened anecdotally yesterday. One was by a major builder who works primarily in commercial real estate, who was aware of the lobbyist. He asked me very specifically, as did a number of other gentlemen who joined in the conversation about our lobbyist and the return on the investment. He thought it was extremely high, and to make sure that we were going to be measuring what the return on that investment was. I have concerns with that because so far we have no measurement tool for that. The contract has not been yet approved. What you are approving is a proposal giving me the authority with, so I make sure that I get it right, myself with the approval of our state's attorney to put into the contract. So I will be making sure before a contract is resubmitted to you, although I have now the authority to enter into a contract. I believe that that is the authority of the board to approve this expenditure. So I'd like to, with your permission, I'll be bringing it back to you once we have it approved. And it's negotiated between whatever consulting firm is going to be hired, so that you have a full understanding of what that return on the investment is. I would like to remind you all that I know federal funds are highly attractive. We know that there's significant potential money out there, but it is no longer based on influence. It is based on metrics of population and critical need. So if Kane County does not have a critical need in that area that you feel is very important and passionate about, they will look elsewhere to other communities who have the population or the metrics that they are looking for. So please be aware of that. All right. And that's critical. That has changed, I believe, since the Obama administration. So that is something just to be aware of with the federal grants. The other issue is the other conversation I had, again, very independent, unsolicited, was with Representative Ness. Now, she spoke to me not about her experience about being a representative, but her experience when she was in McHenry County Board. She shared with me that they also hired a lobbyist at $9,000 a month. And that firm also did primarily federal work. And that's what they were known for. They were very disappointed with the results because once again, the return on the investment was never achieved. I don't know the firm's name, nor do I know the amount of time they worked for McHenry County. But if we are going to be spending our taxpayers' dollars, even though it's mutually given through many of our elected officials to have independent control of their money, we have to make sure that not only are we looking at money, because I've heard conversations repeatedly about banks of money that may be coming here, bags of money here to Kane County, that we have to make sure that legislation is addressed, as State's Attorney just mentioned, an unfunded mandate and what takes place with that. If there's going to be that return on the investment that's worth $120,000 for a 2-year contract, we have to ensure that there are appropriate metrics and measurements. And if that firm does not work to the standards set forth in that mutually agreed upon contract, that we give them, thank you very much, appreciate the time, effort, as we would do with any consultant. So to treat them fairly, but also to make sure that we are good stewards of our taxpayers' money.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I agree that there should be a way to measure return on investment. I just would, you had mentioned an executive that you felt the return on investment with us was 1,000-fold for our last engagement with the lobbyist. And I think we can continue to measure going forward. And if they fall short, then they fall short. But there is an ability to measure the return on investment.
So if we can ensure that if you pass this, if this board passes this, that before the final approval gets done with the firm, that we can send the contract back to you and it would go to exec, and that make sure that you have your minds on this to review, to analyze, and make sure that this meets the standards set forth by this board. That I would, that is my recommendation.
Madam
Yeah.
Chair, Roth here. Your comment, so that contract will go directly to exec and not the legislative first?
I would suggest exec, yes, because the 2 committee chairs sit on that, and the executive committee is in charge of eventual contract approval. We've already gone through the committee to select what firm it's going to be.
And who will be working to determine the contract?
The purchasing department is working on that now.
And I have authority,
Okay,
as does the state's attorney for approval.
okay, thank you.
Is it common procedure anytime that there is a contract that it goes back to executive session? I don't recall us having this conversation about any other.
This is
contract.
unusual. Well, and I would agree with you. What's unusual for this with me is usually Ms. Juby, contracts are submitted
But not always.
with the resolution.
We've had this before without contracts submitted. I mean, had I known this was going to come up, I would have gone through the 5 months of meetings that I've been here as an example of that. But we have had a precedent of this before, and I don't understand why this is being discussed. I
think it's best practice. I think it's best
practice is for us to have fidelity across all of our policies to every one of the things that comes before us, not the things that we pick and choose.
If if you want to give me authority with the state's attorney to put together a contract, I'd be more than happy to do it. It's my recommendation here, but I'd like you to see it.
Point of order.
Yes.
Is there an amendment to this resolution?
No, I'm just making, not at all.
You're
not at
just
all,
making
Not at all.
conversation.
Not at all.
And I move the previous question.
Let's vote
for crying out loud.
We have an amendment to the, to include what you guys requested for the budget adjustment, which is what is in front of you. And do I have to make an amendment for that, or is that
Make a
just?
motion.
Motion to amend.
Yes, so what was requested in executive was for finance to break down. They did so and included it in the handout that you have. For a second.
Bates moves or seconds. Whichever.
This is for Gums. Yeah, the amendment to that resolution then?
Please call the roll.
Who seconded?
Bates.
Bates, 23-206.
Seconding Linder.
We already have a second.
It's already seconded.
Yeah, we're good. Okay, this is on the amendment to include that breakdown of the budgetary.
As submitted by finance, yes.
Okay, so it's this. Ellen.
Alan, I.
Bates.
Bates, yes.
Berman.
Berman, no.
Doherty.
Yes.
Davis.
Davis, yes.
Ford.
Ford, yes.
Gums. On the amendment.
Gums, yes.
Iqbal.
Iqbal, no.
Chuby.
To be I.
Kenyon.
Yes.
Caius.
Yes.
Leonard.
Leonard, yes.
Lewis.
Lewis, yes.
Linder.
Linder, yes.
Melina.
Molina, yes.
Roth.
Roth, yes.
Sanchez.
Sanchez, yes.
Silva.
Silva, yes.
Strathman.
Rathman, yes.
Surges. Tarver.
Tarver, yes.
Tepe.
Tippy, yes.
I'm sorry.
Yes.
Yes, okay. Williams
Williams, yes.
and Young.
Young, yes.
That passes with 2 nays on the amendment.
No, I think we're done with the conversation.
Yeah.
Anybody else?
Yeah.
So clerk, please call the roll on the amended resolution.
Yep, as amended. All right. Okay, Ellen.
Alan, yes. I.
Bates.
Bates, yes.
Berman.
Berman, no.
Doherty.
Yes.
Davis.
Davis, yes.
Ford.
Ford, yes.
Gums.
Gums, yes.
Iqbal.
Iqbal, no.
Juby.
To be I.
Kenyon.
Yes.
Caius.
Yes.
Leonard.
Leonard, yes.
Lewis.
Lewis, yes.
Linder.
Linder, yes.
Lena.
Molina, no.
Roth.
Roth, yes.
Sanchez.
Sanchez, yes.
Silva.
Silva, yes.
Strathman.
Rathman, yes.
Surges. Tarver.
Tarver, yes.
Tepe.
Tippy, no.
Williams.
Williams, no.
Young.
Young, no.
Still passes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 nays. Still passes.
It still passes. All righty. Almost done.
208.
See you later.
Motion and a second to approve item number 23-207.
What about 207?
You? Do we have a
I second.
Second, Mr. Caius, Mr. Iqbal.
Yeah, ma'am, I have a small question on that. This is about your expenditure going to Springfield. And you took this, you showed us the itinerary, not the itinerary, the roadmap that you took. You took 355 and then you went to 55. It's in the,
I probably, all right, go ahead, go ahead. There were multiple trips, but go ahead, please. Go ahead, sorry.
okay. Yeah, and you took this route, which is a tall route, 355. And my question is, why did you take this route versus other routes? I mean, is this the only?
Kidding me?
Forget about it.
Oh, it's a question.
True,
why did you take this route?
Is so insulting, Mr. Iqbal. This is
Forget
not the
about it.
place
No,
to
it's-
be questioning detailed
And
expenses.
wasting all of our
No,
time.
I'm going to the second question, sir. Could the chairman answer it?
Disrespectful.
Don't answer it. You don't need to answer it.
Don't answer it, Madam Chair.
Madam Chair, don't answer.
No.
Please.
I could not take public transportation. So yes, sir, next question, please.
No, my question is that it's a very simple question. There are a lot of routes and you took routes, which is fine. I'm not questioning that part. That you on your free will, you took this route and it's a toll route. And there are non-toll routes as well. And you are going to the Springfield, you are going to the Springfield to fight the toll on the Long Meadow Highway.
It was too,
That's the interesting part that I don't understand, that you are fighting for toll, but you are using the toll and it's a free will thing. So it's not a compulsion to use a toll road
I'd like
or
to.
toll bridge,
Thank
but
you.
it's
Madam Chair, I would.
I'd like to call the question, please. Thank you, sir.
Vote on that.
We don't have to
Yes.
vote on it. Oh, yeah. 23,
there's
207.
a section, no
No, there's
objection.
no second, there's no objection.
It's because of speed.
This is just a vote on the call the question. Ellen,
Do we have to do? it?
Yes, yes.
I could
because
call the
asked Ellen.
question.
Bates,
I'm sorry.
we're just calling the question.
Call the question, yes.
To vote.
Mhm.
Okay.
You know how Mr. Doherty will do, say, call the question and we take a vote. There you go.
Take a vote.
So Bates,
Bates, yes.
Berman,
Berman, yes.
Doherty,
Yes, I don't know how I'm not doing it the way we always do it.
Davis.
Davis left.
Oh, I'm sorry. Ford,
He failed.
Gums,
Gums, yes.
Iqbal,
Iqbal, no.
Should be yes.
What a
Kenyon?
surprise.
Caius,
Nice, yes.
Leonard,
Leonard, yes.
Lewis,
Lewis, yes.
Linder is gone.
Oh,
Linder,
we
yes.
can't hear you.
Sorry, Linder,
Linder, yes.
Molina,
Molina, yes.
Roth,
Roth, yes.
Sanchez,
Sanchez, yes.
Silva,
Silva, yes.
Strathman,
Strathman, yes.
Surges. Tarver,
Tarver, yes.
Neppy,
Deppie, yes.
Williams,
Williams, yes.
Young.
Yes.
All right, that passes.
All right, now,
Tell the boss.
call the roll.
Okay, so on the roll of 23-207, Ellen,
Alan, and thank you for taking your time to go and represent us.
Bates,
It was my pleasure.
Bates, yes. And this is a vote of confidence for Madam Chair.
Berman,
Berman, yes.
Doherty,
Yes.
Davis,
Davis.
on, sorry. Ford,
Good afternoon, and yes.
Gums,
Gums, yes.
Iqbal,
Iqbal, no.
Juby,
Should be aye.
Kenyon,
Yes.
Caius,
Good evening. Yes.
Leonard,
Leonard, yes.
Lewis,
Lewis, yes.
Linder,
Linder, yes.
Molina,
Molina, yes.
Roth,
Roth, yes.
Sanchez,
Sanchez, yes.
Silva,
Silva, yes.
Strathman,
Strathman, yes.
Surges, Tarver,
Tarver, yes.
Deppie,
Deppie, yes.
Williams,
Williams, yes.
and Young.
Young, yes.
That still passes.
All right, next time question me about my love for Starbucks coffee.
Did you put extra cream in that coffee, Madam Chair?
Next one, I think it's 23-208.
There you go. We're on Cliffs.
Second, Kenya.
Thank you.
All right.
Well, I'm the culprit on this and I appreciate the committee's hard work on that. But, you know, I view this as an attorney. It's in my DNA. It's who I am. And when I look at this amendment, I can't help but think that we're probably going too far. As a public employer, our public employees have greater rights than a private employer does. We can put more restrictions on the private sector than we can on the public sector. And this actually goes so far as to regulate personal relationships, just friendships. And it's, in my mind, it's subjective. And the penalty for violating this is up to termination. So my question really is, has the state's attorney's office reviewed this and opined whether it's enforceable?
That is a great question. I would have to defer to my civil division. I don't know if anybody is still online regarding this.
Yes.
I would defer to Ms. Labrillo.
I can answer that. Yes, this was fully vetted by our civil division. It was Assistant State's Attorney Michelle Neerman, who was chief of the civil division at the time, who did vet this. She did also provide case law as to this type of policy being upheld both in public and private sector employers. It's a very common tool to help with risk management for organizations and is very well precedented. We actually modeled a number of existing policies, such as the University of Illinois and some other public employers, such as DuPage County, when creating this policy.
Thank you.
Yes, Mr. Iqbal.
Madam Chair, I agree with Mr. Williams. This goes too far. There is no precedent that's, our director is saying that there is precedent, there's no court precedent. I asked the state attorney's office, and the only case that I was given was one in which this was mentioned, and that was a case in which couple was living together. One had a boy, another one had a girl, and they were living for several years. And this was one of the small reasons why she was terminated, but there were a lot of other reasons. So I don't think that the court will consider this as a precedent for this case. So I agree with Mr. Williams. I think we should not approve it. In addition, there's another state act, which is called Familial Act. It's a disclosure is made based on the family connection with the county, with anyone. And if you look at your packet today, if you go to page, I think 401, we use it all the time. It is there. And we cannot go beyond what the state is telling us what disclosure should be made. And this resolution falls on two sides. I mean, it starts out where this is a sexual discrimination. We want to stop that. Not sexual discrimination, sexual harassment. But this is a consensual thing. And the harassment starts with non-consensual, unwanted sexual contacts. So this does not qualify for sexual harassment prevention. And the disclosure part, I think that state has taken care of it. If you look at 401, we have it. If you want to amend it, we should go through, go to the state and amend it. But this is not proper thing to do.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just have a couple of comments on this. Number one, I like the idea of it. I think there's a need to have some kind of resolution that we follow. However, under the guidelines on page 342, the first guideline states intent or goal of romance or intimacy. How do you evaluate that? How do you judge that? And then the second one, friendship, which includes personal confidence or emotional bond. Once again, these are so subjective. I think if we would delete those two guidelines, the rest of it I'm fine with. But I think those are left way too wide open for interpretation, and it's way too subjective. I think we should have a policy. I agree with it, and I appreciate all the work that everyone's done on it. But I think those two guidelines really are suspect.
I agree to a certain extent with my colleague, my elbow colleague here, Mr. Leonard. On the other hand, I believe that personal relationships are subjective and that it's going to be impossible to put purely objective language in terms of personal relationships. I appreciate so much what Mr. Sturgis and Ms. Abrillo have gone through as we have tortured them through this process. I believe this is excellent wording. It is, I don't think anybody would be harmed by this wording. And I think it will prevent harm in terms of preventing inappropriate relationships from taking place in the workplace. Let's just make this happen.
Strathman.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I think that this has gone through a lot of talk and a lot of discussion. And I agree that we need it. And I think in the last meeting, I talked about not letting the perfect be the enemy of the good. And I was assured that this was a ordinance in process and that we will be tweaking it as we find measures, parts of it work better than others, or it needs to be, the wording needs to be changed. And I will be supporting this today.
Any other questions on this? Yes.
I would move that we bring it to vote. Motion,
Call the question.
Roth. Roth.
call the question. Thank you.
Is there a second to call the question?
Surges seconds.
All right, now we have to take a vote to call the question. 2 votes.
Since when do we call a vote to call the question?
Well,
Is that
he-
normal?
That's how it's supposed to be.
Really?
Yep. Yeah, we just haven't always done it.
You're supposed to vote every.
I'll vote.
Okay,
Who?
this is all right to call the question. Alan.
Alan, I.
It's yes.
Berman.
Yes.
Doherty.
Yes.
Okay, Ford. Comes.
Yes.
Iqbal.
Iqbal, no.
Juby.
Should be I.
Kenyon.
Yes.
Caius.
Guys, yes.
Leonard.
No.
Lewis.
Yes.
Linder.
Yes.
Call the question. Lena.
Molina, yes.
Roth.
Roth, yes.
Sanchez.
Sanchez, yes.
Silva.
To call the question, no.
Correct. No, okay. Strathman.
Yes.
Sturgis.
Surges, yes.
Tarver, yes.
Pepe.
Deputy, yes.
Williams.
Williams, yes.
Young.
Young, yes.
And it still passes with 3 nays.
All right. With no further discussion, clerk, please call the roll.
What was the vote?
3 nays.
20.
That was to call the question.
It was called for the question. We're now calling the vote.
Call the vote on 23-208. Ellen.
Alan, I.
Bates.
Bates, yes.
Berman.
Berman, yes.
Doherty.
Yes.
Ford.
Or no.
Gums.
Yes.
Iqbal.
No.
Juby.
Should be I.
Kenyon.
Aye.
What?
That's
Caius.
Yes.
Leonard.
Leonard, no.
Lewis.
Yes.
Linder.
Linder, yes.
Molina.
Molina, yes.
Roth.
Roth, yes.
Sanchez.
Sanchez, yes.
Silva.
Silva, yes.
Thank you. Strathman.
Strathman, yes.
Sturgis.
Yeah.
Tarver.
Tarver, yes.
Pepe.
Deputy, yes.
Williams.
Williams, no.
And Young.
Young, no.
Still passes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 nays.
I know.
That was certainly fun, Madam Chairman.
Good job. And we don't have to
Go
go
ahead.
into
No,
executive
I look
session.
forward to the next revision.
We got more to go.
More.
No, that's it.
No, I believe we are done. We are done.
Adjourn.
So
Mr. Kenyon.
2 more.
We have,
it's tradition. Mr.
Madam
Kenyon.
Chair, there are 2 more items.
We have 2 things here.
after a consent agenda, there are 2 items we didn't get yet
23-226.
regarding the opioid litigation and temporary easement agreement. Can we do them?
We can do open session.
So close.
Executive went back.
Madam Chair, we appreciate your enthusiasm.
Parcel, finally.
Consent, yeah. Resolution 23.
Number 5.
Yeah.
226.
It's
I
skin in
I
the
would
game
move
on that
that
one.
we
Okay.
23-226, authorizing Kane County State's Attorney to execute documentation pertaining to the ongoing opioid litigation.
Microphone.
On,
It's not on.
yeah, ratifying signatures of documents
Hold on.
related thereto. 23-226.
Comes in second.
Ford a second.
Yes.
I assume there's no discussion on this, so clerk, please call the roll.
Dangerous. Let's assume.
23-226, Ellen.
Alan, I.
Bates.
Bates, yes.
Berman.
Berman, yes.
Doherty.
Yes.
Ford.
Ford, yes.
Gums.
Gums, yes.
Iqbal.
Paul, yes.
Juby.
Juby, yes.
Kenyon.
Yes.
Caius.
Yes.
Leonard.
Leonard, yes.
Lewis.
Yes.
Linder.
Linder, yes.
Melina.
Molina, yes.
Roth.
Roth, yes.
Sanchez.
Sanchez, yes.
Silva.
Silva, yes.
Strathman.
Strathman, yes.
Surges.
Burgess, yes.
Tarver. Mr. Tarver.
He didn't know we had so long.
Pepe.
Tepe, yes.
Williams.
Williams, yes.
Young.
Young, yes.
Passes. Okay, very good. May I have a motion and second to approve item number 23-227?
Sanchez moves.
Thank you.
Ford seconds.
Thank you, Mr. Ford. Is there any discussion?
Well, do you need an explanation? No.
Does anybody want any explanation about the temporary easement? I see none. Clerk, please call the roll.
Ellen.
Alan, I.
Bates.
Bates, yes.
Berman.
Berman, yes.
Doherty.
Yes.
Ford.
Ford, yes.
Gums.
Gums, yes.
Iqbal.
Iqbal, yes.
Juby.
Juby, yes.
Kenyon.
Yes.
Caius.
Yes.
Leonard.
Leonard, yes.
Lewis.
Yes.
Linder.
Linder, yes.
Melina.
Molina, yes.
Roth.
Roth, yes.
Sanchez.
Sanchez, yes.
Silva.
Silva, yes.
Strathman.
Strathman, yes.
Surges.
Burgess, yes.
Mr. Tarver, are you there? Pepe.
Tepe, yes.
Williams.
Williams, yes.
Young.
Yes.
I'm for Kenyans.
Mr. Kenyon, please do us the honor.
If there's nothing else to come before this group, I move we adjourn. It's only 1:00, 1:03.
Seconds the motion.
A second thing. And as we
man.
say, I'd like to wish all the mothers